It's just, oh, we should be used to it. It's why it's such a beautiful country. It's why everything's so green.
That's why it's lush and green, isn't it?
Exactly.
There he is, look, there he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Lush and green like a bad case of gonorrhea. That's exactly.
I tell you, that was private.
Here he is. How you doing, Darren? You all right, pal?
Good, buddy. Good.
Oh,
Chin chin.
Go straight into it. There we are.
It was a long
Slash
weekend.
to your health.
Oh, you can't, Ian. You're rehearsing.
I'm rehearsing later on, so all good.
Come on, what's the rehearsals for?
Rock of Ages. I'm going to be in Rock of Ages.
Awesome. Where's it playing?
King's Theatre in Glasgow.
Wow.
23rd to 26th of October. If anybody's interested and up in Glasgow and want to come and see one of the average bikers, I'll just punt the show right now.
King's Theatre. This is big time. This isn't like some pokey village hall somewhere. This is
no. This is
No. I'm not in the thespian.
And
I say, man.
One of the best things was I spent a year growing my hair for a part in Rock of Ages. And I went in and auditioned, and I got the part of the uptight German with the short hair. I had to go after a year of growing up. So, there we go.
So
I do talk with a very dodgy comedy German accent from.
Oh, please do give us a little.
Hello, you know. So it's he says, "Good, yeah, you know, you're blowing me, you know."
Kissing by the window.
So,
Club.
That's the one.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Should be fun. Yeah, if anyone's up in Glasgow, grab a ticket.
When does it start?
22nd of October.
Oh, right.
The 26th. Oh, there we go. Yes.
And come on, sell it. Where do people go to get tickets?
You can just go straight to the King's Theatre website, ATG Tickets, or if you DM the average bikers in the cave, I'll send you a personal link that will save you money on your booking fee. There you go.
Oh,
get the best seats in the house.
Every Scot in the country is clambering to the keyboard. Save money, you say?
Exactly. Yeah. Save money. Yep, absolutely. So there we go.
Awesome.
Best discounts for Calimoto and stuff like that. No. Out to the King's Theatre.
You want to go to the theatre? Yes. Awesome.
That'll be a hoot.
Darren, when are you on stage? What are you doing? What are you playing?
My days have been on stage with poles are long done, mate.
with what? Poles.
Aye, bowls of crisps, bowls of chicken wings.
Poles.
Poles.
Well, poles.
Yeah.
Ice poles.
Germans,
poles.
Right. Folks at home, if you haven't figured this out, it's Darren and Iain, average bikers in a cave. They're back again. Howdy. I will have started this pretty much instantly.
Guten Tag.
It's all there. Everything is there straight away.
All right.
Lads, what have you been up to? It's been a while since both of you have been on. Darren, you were on, was it last year or year before? I think you came on.
We were on last year, and then I was obviously did the Flying Scotsman last year.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
So it was and then obviously this year when you did the first Flying Scotsman, I came up and met you at the old Greenway.
You did.
So for a blether and a quick catch up. But other than that, we haven't really been on, have we? I can't remember the last time I remember us.
So what have you been up to then? What have you been doing?
Well, there's one thing we did, but we're not like, apparently, according to one of your patrons, we're not to talk about it until you ask the questions from them. But we were away in Ireland.
Is this Danny?
It's Danny, aye. So Danny said, please don't talk about the tour to Ireland until you get to ask the questions. So we will talk about the tour to Ireland. But yes, we have been away, myself and Dan and Danny, on a wee mini average bikers in a cave tour up the west, the Wild Atlantic Way, which was good fun.
Yeah,
that was good fun. Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, stunning!
Definitely.
Stunning.
Get it added to chicken strips, mate. Yeah. Honestly,
watch this space for 2025. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Wicklow Mountains as well. I mean, that is just a stunning piece of road and landscape and everything, you know. And just
do it on a Sunday because there's no bugger on it.
Yeah,
so they're all the church, the God-fearing people.
Well, they're all at church, apart from the mammals who are all out the bikes to avoid going to church. They're push bikes. So that's your two kind of. We discovered that in Ireland. We thought that's quite interesting. Everybody's at church apart from a whole group of mammals who are on their push bikes, saying it's the only time we can get out, so we don't have to go to church. So that was our theory. Anyway, it was amazing. So I'm sure there'll be a few questions about it later on.
There will be videos to follow. However, we had that many cameras with us. You can only imagine the editing that it is. It's
I've got paid video what I've got to finish first. So
you use 360s as well, don't you? The actual 360 cameras. They're awesome, but Jesus, they use
we had the X3 and the X4. Somebody couldn't insist about an X4. So there's loads of footage.
Got the drone out a couple of times. It was good fun. That was nice to get that out. And then we get the wee mini drone that we amusingly crashed into a hedge.
They smashed into a hedge on the very first night.
Which one's that? The Mini 4 or Mini 3?
No, the wee Hover X1.
Oh yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. It is,
isn't it?
It's just you just pick it up, press the button, seconds it's back in your hand, and you move on. Absolutely great. Or if you don't put it in a hedge, it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic wee thing. And they are talking about bringing out an X1 Pro and Pro Max. I'm on a couple of Facebook groups about it.
Yeah,
but we're just going to give you an 8K video. Not it looks really good. But then so does the DJI Neo. Looks promising as well. Which is what I'm quite excited about as well.
And the Mini 5 Pro that might be launching in the next month or two.
No. Bruce, ask him what he's got now in the DJI world.
Sorry. I do, however, have a DJI Avatar now. Avatar 2.
Did you? So, you bought one?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was a birthday present from my son. So very nice. So and I've currently just bought the manual controller. So I'm now on a simulator trying to learn how to fly it full manual, so I can just scoot it about and stuff. So,
but with the beauty of the Avatar is it not? It's like one of the traditional race drones, but if you just take your hands off does it not have a mode that if you just take your hands off the sticks, it will just stop and hover? Is that right?
Yes, it's got that. It's got an emergency pause button as well, which is brilliant. It's really good, and actually, it comes with the joystick, the joystick thing, which is like so easy to fly.
Is it?
I mean, I don't know if you know where the Barony A-frame is down in Ayrshire. There's the Barony A-frame, which is just outside Cumnock, down in Ayrshire, and it used to be a mine. It was a big A-frame mining tower thing, and it's now kind of park up there and take your dogs to walk around and all that. But I took it out there second time flying it, and I took it out there and I was flying it through the A-frame and round and spinning around. I've got some really good footage. I must put it up on the channel actually, and let you see it. But it's super intuitive to fly, and even just using the joypad, you can fly it up to about 34 miles per hour just using that. And then if you fly it full manual, it can go to about 60 miles per hour. It'll fly about that speed. So once I've got that down to, I think I need about 15-20 hours in a simulator, and then I'll be able to take it out and start flying it, and then chase Darren down.
Sorry to interrupt, folks, but just a quick shout out for this week's sponsors, who are, as always, Ultimate Add-ons. Ultimate Add-ons have been back in the podcast for the last few years, and I've been using their products since probably around about 2017, 2018. They specialise in phone holders, so both the mounts that attach to your bike and the protective cases that your phone goes in. Now, these cases are shockproof, they're dustproof, they're the perfect things to put your phone in whilst you're on the bike, and even if you do have a mishap, your phone is nicely protected inside that case. You can still use the phone, you can still use the touchscreen, you can even still use the cameras. They do a wide selection of mounts. I use the ratchet strap, which is actually in their cycle section, but you can pick any one you like for your particular bike or a generic one. It's up to you. Ultimate Add-ons are also doing a number of other accessories, things like action camera mounts. They're also now doing heated grips. They do things like a balaclava, USB, USB-C, power adapters, lots of different things. Head to their website, check out the products, and if you use the code TeapotOne with the number 10, TeapotOne10, then you will get 10% off. A massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons for all your support. And a massive shout out to all of you over in the clan, over on Patreons, patreon.com/TeapotOne. I literally could not do this full time without your support, folks. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for going that extra mile with your support. You're also the backbone of the Brew Time podcast with all your questions. So keep them coming and we'll go from strength to strength. I was going to say, what's your plans with it? You're going to start doing like follow shoots with the bikes and stuff.
Yeah,
I think when we kind of no first started the channel, but maybe about 6 months in, we did a whole kind of promo intro little kind of
video thing,
storyboard video thing that we did, and we took it and we spent all day kind of doing the us leaving, us going up into the hills and all that kind of stuff, and shot multiple different views. But we really need to redo that. Do you know what I mean?
We've both been through a few bikes since then, to be fair. So,
yeah, there's a few questions about that actually.
So that's the plan, because it's really the speed thing, getting it to go at like kind of 50-60 miles per hour. You're going to get some amazing shots, overtaking the bikes and whizzing around and doing some acrobatics and stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
That's the plan. That's the plan with it. Yeah, and so it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty nice bit of kit, and of course shoots 4K at 100 frames per second, which is pretty decent. Yeah, so you can get some really nice shots that we can then just slow right down, super smooth and stuff. So yeah, that'll be really fun to do and use.
We'll get it done next summer.
I am at like a crisis point, I think, at the moment with my channel and my content, and that I've got such a backlog of content now. I just feel swamped. I'm just like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Because it's pretty much all trip orientated now. And then you're just you can't just churn out trip after trip after trip, because people just lose interest, which they've done, you know. Like I saw it this year with the American series. Certainly by episode 3, the views just disappear. They tank. And I've struggled to get it back since then, to be honest. But that's kind of what my channel is now. It's just, that's what my life is. I'm touring all the time with chicken strips. So I'm at the point where I'm thinking, what am I going to do? You know, I need to turn the tours not only into a record of the punter's trip, which is what they're signing up for, but also
totally.
I need to make it work for me, you know. So I need to maybe do kit reviews or bike reviews within the trip.
Loan bikes for the trips would be a winner.
I know. It's usually gear reviews. Get yourself a Krieger rucksack and wear it for the tour and the trip and talk about it and see the practicality of that kind of thing.
I've been wearing them for 14 years.
But you know, whatever the new model is, I'm only seeing Krieger because I was watching the Mist and Flyer thing, who's slating unit. So
was he?
Well, not really slating, just mentioned you, but only because he was talking about the Speedmaster Chrome, which is my current bike. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know if I had that last time we were on or not. Maybe I did. I can't remember. And I was curious if the things he was talking about were the kind of 1 or 2 wee things, that because he loves the bike and I love the Speedmaster, but there's a couple of things that annoy me about it, and one in great detail when we talk about Ireland. We'll tell you a lot about what annoys me about it. But just things like it's a big chrome tank, trying to keep that shiny and clean, and it's already covered in scratches. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not, I don't even know where they've come from. I've been super careful, and it's just super hard to maintain. But yeah, but he'd mentioned about content and getting content out quickly, and then he mentioned your name for some reason. Can't think why.
Do you know, find though the tour stuff? And again, I did yours last year and only had a couple of cameras, so it was much easier. Whereas this year, having multitude of cameras, do you know, find that even with all the best will in the world, stopping and starting at the bits that you think are going to be quite good, and then the emergency bits, the editing it is an absolute ball ache.
Yeah,
because you've got to keep those little transitions down to maybe 5 or 10 seconds to keep it engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Unless because you've got your comms, so you're doing a bit of speaking, so you can bridge the gap there. But it's the having hours worth of footage and then trying to snip it. And I think what we had toyed with is, once we get the Ireland stuff done, because we could do day one, put it out and all that, but I think what we'll do is just put it a couple of days, then a couple of days, put another couple of days out, so that we're not in that. Because I think last year we did like 1 day every kind of week, and it just seemed It was like
drags out.
I thought and I'm the first one to moan if somebody puts a new series on Netflix or something and they only put one episode a week. I go, oh come on, people! I want to binge. So we might put the whole lot out and binge it.
But my problem is that each episode takes probably, I would say, 4 to 5 days to edit. So literally, I'll get the episode done by, say, Wednesday, Thursday. It's uploaded, Patreon get it, say, Thursday, and then Friday or the Saturday, it'll be published live. But then, then I have to edit. You're back in editing the next episode, and then obviously the podcast and all the socials that go with it. So it's generally it's sort of Wednesday, Thursday the following week by the time the next one's done anyway. So it's I'd love to chuck my vids out every sort of 3 days, 4 days if I could, or every 3 to 5 days. But I'm just not able at the moment. I just can't. I had my son helping with the editing, but that's not worked out. He's decided it's not for him, and he's buggered off traveling now. So it's back on me now, and I'm like, shit, what am I going to do?
I enjoy doing
to get that thing. You know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
And I do enjoy doing bits of the editing, but there are times when it's just a chore, really, isn't it? That just the before you get into the really creative stuff and picking your transitions and all that kind of stuff. But I also think, and there's an awful lot of bad stuff out there that people switch off from. So, and there's been a few things recently I've been watching, and it's just the person talking and a view of their handlebars. Where they're going, and there's no, so you could churn these videos out really quickly if that's all you're doing. It's one camera or two, and I think, but why would
but there's the thing is, that there's a lot of very big and very successful channels that's all they do. It's one camera and they're just chatting away. So that format obviously works. I think it's down to the person, isn't it? It's down to the character and the vibe that you can create in that, whether through it's your commentary or through the edit or somehow. We did joke at the start of the year, didn't we? We said, we'd love to do some sort of kind of like featurette thing, like do something that was like sizable. Do you know what I mean? Like a good 40, 50, maybe even an hour long kind of movie style thing, because obviously, Iain loves editing. But it's just it's then the time to get it done. It's just, it just, I think the other thing is you say, you hit that, you said right at the start, you can hit that moment where you go, and your momentum goes and your motivation goes. And I think we've had that literally just there. We're going to record episode 50, our 50th episode. Some point, next one. Some point this weekend, hopefully, depending on how drunk I get at Thunder. But that's been weeks. That's been weeks since about months, because we had that big lull where work's a bit busy. Iain had paid stuff. Then Iain had rehearsals coming up. Then the weather's been so shit at the minute. It's a nice day. You're like that, woof, away out on the bike, because you don't know when you're going to get your next day. And it's just like, and then it comes to sitting to write it, and you go, God, I can't be bothered writing this. And then you get distracted because you then go into the world of YouTube, and then you go down that rabbit hole and you start catching up on other things you haven't seen. And it's just like, you then kind of go to force yourself to get there. And it does feel a bit chorish. Because you're sitting there having to go, I need to put this out. Even though there's like, for us, there's like loads of news and stuff like that, because there's been loads of things happening in that kind of 6 to 8 weeks. But we were normally quite kind of, the minute one's done and out, we'd start kind of keeping our eye and start taking notes on the next one so that we were kind of prepared. But it's just fell by the wayside. And I think it's just that lull that I think everybody goes through at some point. Yeah, definitely.
And we're not doing it from a monetary stance. So you get less of a motivation from that point of view, you know what I mean? So I think that can sometimes be the curse of it, as much as it's great because we just do it because we love it, and we've always said if we get one listener we will put out a podcast, because if there's one person willing to listen to our rubbish, then we're over the moon and we'll happily talk. But I think so I think that's another thing. You go, actually I've got work now, and then I was away on holiday and those kind of things, so it just sometimes you just hit that real dip, So
you went to the Olympics, didn't you? And then had tickets for the women's beach volleyball and decided not to go.
What?
It was logistically just not possible to do that and go to the other stuff. It would just, one thing had to go. And
You put on
unfortunately,
a list, Ian. What did you do?
I was put on a list, yeah. And a bit like something that one presenter. I don't know what he's done today, but somebody's been sacked from the one show. So, is it the Jermaine guy, the footballer guy? He's just.
Oh, Jermaine Janus?
Yeah, he's been sacked from the one show for his conduct. Don't know what it is.
I see.
Really?
Have a look at that.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the news. It's great.
Again.
I live in ignorance. It's awesome. I love it.
And we're also sponsored by the Influencer Store. Now I've got some blurb to read out for them. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea and a design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Now, all my current merch over at TeapotOne.com, that is all handled by Roger and Charlotte and their family over at the Influencer Store. So thank you for all your support. And lastly, a big shout out to all of you who are either watching a podcast or listening just now on your platform of choice. If you can share with your mates, tell people about the podcast and help spread the word, that really does help. And if you're listening on things like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you can follow and leave a review or rating, 5-star is preferable, of course, then that would be absolutely fan-dabby-dosy. All right, folks, let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, have a bubble and just stay within the bubble. It's perfect.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, no, so I was supposed to go to beach volleyball, but it just wasn't practical. So, because we were so far out of Paris, it was such a chore to get in and out of Paris for us. You know, and the beach volleyball was at 9 a.m, and I was drinking the night before. So, yeah, just
I would have found a way.
Exactly. Wild horses.
Yes. Exactly. So
I would have camped out under the Eiffel Tower with my drink.
However.
Right, gents, we have got some questions to be getting through over on Patreon. So how about we crack through them? Because I'm very intrigued about Danny's question, but Danny is quite far down the list. So we might have to. I might bump Danny up the list because I'm eager to chat about this.
Danny likes getting bumped.
Yeah, enough. Right. Head across to the clan. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Biker España. How you doing, Chris? Hi all.
Hola.
Question 1. What, in your opinion, is an average biker? Oh.
That's a great question.
That's a brilliant. That's the first question. There's usually a warm-up. Do you know what I mean?
Me?
Go.
Me? Just me. Just, you know, and you, and Darren, and, you know, everybody, you know, if you get on a bike, you're an average biker, you know?
Absolutely.
You know,
any biker's an average biker. Do you know what I mean? Again, if you look at stereotypical average biker, we're usually slightly on the round side.
Yes.
And I'm speaking for him.
Full-bodied.
Or him, hers, and these. You know what I mean? But everybody's an average biker. I don't even know why we call them average bikers. I think it's just because we were just like, we don't get our need in and things like that. We don't drive silly.
Yeah, we don't have a particular genre of riding that we follow and with passion. So we're not massive MotoGP fans, but we're not all about cruising. We're not, you know. It's just we just like being on a bike. So, and it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter what type of bike you like being on, you know. And if you're a biker and you know to another biker, whether they're on an R1 or whether they're on a VFR or whether they're on a Triumph Speedmaster, do you know what I mean? That's an average biker, you know, because we're all part of one big two-wheeled family. Three-wheeled.
So what was the idea then of setting up Average Bikers in a Cave? Was it to be the podcast first, or was it the YouTube channel? I can't remember if we covered this when you first came on.
Podcast definitely first. It was podcast. And it's kind of really stuck with podcast more than anything else. The YouTube stuff we chuck bits and bobs on, but again, it's, you know, it's when we've got the time and when we've pulled something together, we'll pop it on. But you know, it's just, you know, two guys just talking about bikes. I mean, it's as simple as that. Yeah, it's, you know, it's very hard to define something simple.
Aye, and I think that we only called it in a cave because literally I had just the man cave built.
Aye.
We thought, let's just get in a room, we'll throw a couple of mics together and we'll just talk drivel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a couple of, average or ordinary bikers just sitting in a man cave gabbing. But we didn't call it man cave because obviously you get man cave moto out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Can't kind of call it that. Let's try not step on other people's toes, even though he's doing solely YouTube and we were literally just doing a podcast like that. But all we're doing is just a couple of average guys sitting, chatting in a man cave.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, let's call it average bikers in a cave then, ABC. That's nice and easy. It works. Oh, yeah. We'll go for that. Didn't over really think it because we thought we'll put one out, nobody will listen to it. And then a few folks started listening to it, and then we were getting comments, and then folk were like, the minute there was a kind of gap of longer than 3 weeks, folk were like, when's the next episode coming? You're like, oh shit, right, well, keep this up.
People actually like this.
Exactly.
I find the podcast. I find the podcast. It's probably even more important to have consistency with producing content. Like if you produce every week, you need to produce every week, because if you don't, it's like, certainly in terms of charts, if you look at charts, if you miss a week in the charts, geez, you can plummet out of the top 150 in a week. It's like the floor opens up and you just disappear. But the second you're back, you get yourself back for, say, 2 months on the trot consistently every week, all of a sudden you start banging up through the charts again, and you must get it as well. Like, people always comment, don't they? Where's the podcast going? And when's the podcast coming back? It's only been away a week, so I've only missed a week.
But that's a good thing, because then you know that people listen to it, you know that people are enjoying it. The amount of people that comment us and go, do you know what? I just love listening to you guys talking rubbish and having a laugh. And I'm usually listening when I'm out walking the dog.
Yeah.
And I'm just giggling while I'm out walking the dog. And you're going, that's perfect, because that's what a podcast should be. Do you know what I mean? I know when I'm working away, especially, I'll usually catch up on the podcasts that I've missed. Like I was away, last week, and I rattled through a couple of years that I'd missed. Do you know what I mean? Lamb chops and the Peaky Biker. And I just rattled at 2 of them, just literally in a couple of days, just walking back and forward to work.
Yeah.
It's dead easy. It's an easy medium to just poof, ears in and listen.
I'm the same. I do it on the bike. I don't really listen to much music anymore on the bike. I just whack a podcast on and I just have that playing whilst I'm out riding normally. In between filming stuff. That's what I do. Which takes us neatly onto Chris's second question. Comms or no comms on a group ride?
Comms.
So,
it makes up for the laugh. It makes up for a giggle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think obviously, I'm fortunate enough. I've been on tours with both of you guys. Mm-hmm. It's just sheer hysterics. It is sheer hysterics. Yeah. I think when you've got a larger group of 15, it definitely, when you're in the chicken strips, you definitely find there is you split out a bit, so you don't, the guys that are bombing it ahead and usually try to keep pace with Simon, sillies. You don't hear as much for those guys, but when you're catching up to them because you can start to hear them come back into the conversation. Yeah. But it's just that you also get that kind of safety element, do you know what I mean? And
for sure.
It's a different one because I know what's happened, do you know what I mean? But you do get that safety element because if you're going out past somebody and there's a line of traffic and everybody wants to get by, it's there clear, albeit you still come out and make sure it's clear for your own view. But then, do you know what I mean? It gives you the opportunity to get out and go, it's clear, and then go by. Whereas when there was 3 of us just on tour in Ireland in May, it was the same. It was just constant hysterics because we were just ripping it into each other.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like six and a half.
Some get slated a bit more than others, though. To be fair, he says with an annoyed face, didn't he?
With a distinct, odor of
odor E10.
What I find with the comms is it really does depend on the group, because like we have groups that come away and the banter is just flowing from like day one. The banter is flowing constantly, and people engage. And I think some people are aware the cameras are rolling, so they almost amp up the banter.
All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Stage fright.
You know, well, no, that's the other end of it. You know, you get people that definitely do. They help the recording process. I think they're aware that they might be in the vid if they say something. So people like push boundaries a little bit, or they're just funny. They're just funny people. But then you have those other people that just totally clam up. And when you get a group of people that hardly talk, it's just like silence, you know, and you're like trying to orchestrate some conversation and some banter through the comms because you're filming and you're like, right, okay, how you finding it, lads? You enjoying it? Silence, or yeah, it's good. And that's it. That's all you get. And you're like, okay, this is going to be a tough one, you know. And then for me, I'm like, as the prospective editor for all that, the whole trip, I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? Right, okay. Well, how can I link that bit to that bit? Then, if there's no comms, what am I going to do here? So sometimes I'll have to go, right, I'm coming off the comms for a bit, and I'll switch the comms off and try and revert back to traditional solo vlogging, you know, so you've got some comms going on, some chat that you can do something with. Because I'm aware, I think I have 1 or 2 trips still to edit from last year, or maybe even the year before, where I think people were just concentrating on riding. You know, they were like rabbits in the headlight and just concentrating. So the banter wasn't flowing on the bikes. You're like, okay, right, this is going to be a tough one to edit. Let's see how we cope with that. But definitely, like you said, safety for sure. Yeah,
that makes a huge difference when you're out together.
And without giving Danny too much airtime, do you know what I mean? Because, like, you know what I mean, he gets a big heat. But had it not been for the comms and me being behind Danny for a good bit of the way, not that Danny was slow, but we were just taking our time. I was tailing Charlie, I think, that day, where we just got in the zone. And as we kind of came out, it was actually coming down towards St Mary's Lock. And Danny was like, I'm just so in the zone. That was just like, I just felt like I was connected with the bike and stuff. And I was like, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And then we just started chatting the whole way. And then it was like, and then I was like, do you know what? He'll go on well with Ian. And then that kind of what spurred us on to, we all met at the NEC during a bike show. And then we kind of all clicked. And then we went, right, we'll go on tour. Had it not been for comms, that wouldn't have happened. Because then you were literally just talking to people at night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a different type of conversation at night, isn't it? Do you know what I mean, that you're having?
Aye.
It's different when it's face to face for sure, isn't it? And pardon me, it almost feels more instant when you're on the bike with the comms. I don't know what it is. Maybe because you're a bit more vulnerable. Maybe I don't know. Or maybe it's that slight anonymity of you're not face to face. You know, you just got someone in your ears and you're just chatting away. So people, I don't know.
The only thing I will say about the comms is if you're listening to music as well, and obviously it turns the music down ever so slightly so you can hear the people chatting, which is good. However, the minute people stop chatting and the music goes back up, you've got to remember, to start singing.
Yeah.
I just turned the music off. I didn't bother music when I was.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't multitask to that extent. It's bad enough like riding and talking and listening. I can't have music as well. Which takes us on to question 3 from Chris: music or engine noise when riding alone?
Do you know, I've used music quite a lot when riding alone, but in the last few times I've been out, I've been like that. Do you know, I just want to hear the bike. I just want to hear the bike and get a sense. And I think that's because of Ireland, because I rode that bike better by the time I'd finished the tour in Ireland than I'd ever ridden it. And like Danny, I was in the zone at points, and I wasn't even thinking about it in that sense, in the same way, like, that you kind of you're just there, and I just loved hearing the noise of the bike. And I think the Speedmaster's got a lovely noise anyway, so I've kind of stopped listening to music on the bike in the last maybe couple of months, since Ireland, and just enjoyed being that.
You say you were in the zone, even you were just high when
I was high in petrol fumes as well. That's another story. But yes, the
it's
E10
coming.
buzz.
It's coming. Don't worry.
Right? Absolutely. So if you'd asked me that 2 months ago, I'd have said music all the time. And then after Ireland, I'm going, not quite so much. If I'm commuting or something like that on the bike, yeah, I'll put music on because it's just dull. But if I'm out for a ride in the country now, I'm just like, nah, just hear this, because actually I like hearing. You can respond better. I can respond better to the bike now that because I know the engine better now after doing that big tour. So there you go.
Yeah, I just have music on constant. You know what I mean? It's only little short runs recently where I've went, yeah, I'm not going to put comms on because I'm just going to throw in an older helmet that's not quite got comms set up for it. I just throw that on. Do you know what I mean? And again, just quite happily. Again, commuting slightly different because I'm usually going through the Clyde Tunnel and all that kind of stuff. And again, with a new bike, it's got a really nice road going through the Clyde Tunnel. It's childish, but hey, kind of got there. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what sort of music do you listen to then, Darren? You a bit of like Steps or
Mate, can it be a bit of Taylor Swift? Do you know what I mean?
Taylor Swift, yeah.
No. Honestly, I'll listen to anything. Do you know what I mean? I was saying that, I'll tell you a funny story. I had made a kind of tour playlist. Did it last year for the Scotsman, did it this year for what I called the Inisherin tour because we were stopping at Island. And there was just hundreds of songs on it, right? Just thinking it'll get me through a couple of days before it then starts to repeat. And I had all sorts of stuff in there, right? I even had Miley Cyrus Party in the USA on there.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. It's just one of the guilty pleasures. And I started singing at the comms, right? Again, those unconscious moments. Danny boy starts joining in exactly where I was. Timing's perfect. Sorry, Danny, if you're listening, but tough. Now, this is the kicker.
Please tell me you recorded it.
Oh, no. I don't know. I'm not going to that bit of editing yet. However, gets the new bike. New bike's got Apple CarPlay. Had my phone on my quad lock. Had my earphones in, connected, listening. Great thing. Stopped in at the local supermarket to pick up a couple of bits for the night's dinner. Gets out, parks the bike, goes in, comes back out, puts on, forgets to turn the head unit back on the helmet. All of a sudden, Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA, blasting out the speakers in the new bike in the middle of the car park. Like that. And I'm like,
that's a look.
The bike about a week, and I'm going, how the fuck do you turn this?
Yeah, how do I switch it off?
Yes. Miley's getting binned. Playlists from now will be regimented as to rock, country, rock, or more rock.
I wish I'd seen that. Please tell me somebody film that.
I wish.
Everybody's filmed that. Please put it on our socials for shits and giggles.
Awesome. Right, cheers, Chris. Thanks for those questions, mate. Next one, Mark from Leeds.
Mark from Leeds.
Evening, gents. If you can pop with the host, you'll have a great time. He's getting a little bit too wide, is Mark. Do you know what I mean? He's getting a wee bit too big for his boots. We have to smash him back down, I think. You may not be aware, but Bruce sort of came up with my YouTube name, amongst others, which I'll not mention. But I bet the big Yeti will be giggling like a girl wanting to tell you. No, Mark, I'm not. I don't care. I digress. My question is, how did you come up with your YouTube name? Cheers. Well, we've just covered that, haven't we? Average Bikers.
Yeah, we have. Yep.
Sorry, Mark. Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Never mind. Shit question. Bye. Next one, Louise Worsfold. He'll be gutted. Absolutely gutted. Louise Worsfold. Evening, gents. Another question. Read the ice hockey gear on the wall. Do you take after the Mighty Ducks or Happy Gilmore? Do you have an NHL team that you follow, and why there?
Tough call. Mighty Ducks. Yeah. Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore's just a classic. Shooter McGavin. Can he beat that? In terms of team, yes, our local team is the Glasgow Clan, who are in the elite league, which is kind of Britain's number one league. You say that with a pinch of salt. Do you know what I mean? It's Britain and it's ice hockey, but that's the kind of local team. There's obviously other teams closer by and stuff like that, but Glasgow's a kind of big team. So yes, we do follow them, as well as our NHL team, which is split in our house between the New York Rangers, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Blimey.
Yeah, and I'm a Maple Leafs follower, following Maple Leafs, because the first ever ice hockey place I've been to was a tour of the stadium at Maple Leafs, so you might as well pick the team that you've first been kind of exposed to years and years ago when I went to visit Toronto.
Absolutely.
And also, I think the Maple Leafs kind of epitomises your typical Scottish sports fan, where you had a tiny wee bit of glory back in 1967 or some point, 67 Scotland got to beat England, didn't they? And technically were top of the world because they beat the World Cup
champions
holders.
at that point.
And I think 67 or was it 69 was the last time the Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. So it's probably the most Scottish supporting team, and there's been hope and disappointment ever since. With the Leafs.
The old hockey memorabilia in here is for the chop. We're going to revamp it here. I'm going to make it more bikey orientated because I've started to collect a whole bunch of stuff relating to the bike, so the biking stuff's going to start to come up the wall now. I've already got a helmet up there, and then an average biker's t-shirt somewhere. So yes, so it's going to get repurposed. But that was built, and the hooks and all that were built purposely for hanging anything up there. It didn't have to be hockey related, so that I knew at some point I would change because I knew I would get fed up looking at it.
Change the set.
So yes, we enjoy, but it's going.
How often do you get bored with your setup? I'm terrible. I am terrible. Literally, it's like a month and I'm like, I need change.
You mean your techno? That's us with bikes, Bruce. Do you know what I mean? It's like a month and I never had a new one.
I'm like that with life, to be honest. Like I need constant change all the time.
That's me with drones.
I just get bored. What's that?
That's me with drones. Just get a drone. A camera. I think some gear you always want the best of stuff, and I'm kind of now thinking to myself, there's a Mini 5 coming out, you know what I mean? But that Mini 3 Pro does everything I want it to do. So why would I do that, But I'm still in my head going, what can I sell to get one? So but in terms of because I think we're more podcasty and audio than visual, I'm not bothered about the kind of the backdrops and all that kind of stuff, but I do just like to change things around. I can't, I can't. Just every few days I'm looking at it and going, I'll move this or I'll move that, So
I'm redoing this office at some point, like repainting it. I think all of that's going, and I'm going to replace it. I need, like, if you could see the state of this office, there's just key everywhere. There's cables, cameras, kit, just. It's all over my desk. It's all over the floor. Everywhere you look, there's stuff, and I can't operate like that. I think that's part of the reason why I feel so swamped and can't. I don't feel like I can get on with anything just because I'm like drowning in all this cake everywhere.
It's just noise around, isn't it?
It's like I can't concentrate because there's just so much stuff. Yeah. But I've got nowhere to put anything, and it's just like, shit, what am I going to? So I think I'm going to have to get like some sort of big units that I can just chuck everything in and shut the doors so they're, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. I think that's going to be the plan.
Just put it all in there.
Aye.
And then you'll go, where did I put that camera?
Yeah, that happens now, man. I'm like, I need to get I need this. So I'll go on Amazon, next day it arrives, next day delivery, it arrives. And then like a month later, I'll be putting something away and you find the same thing. You're like, I didn't know I had one. You've still got it. It's in there somewhere or under a mound of stuff.
Yeah. So I've got a unit up the back. You can't see it right now, but it's essentially big double doors and 3 big drawers, and that's exactly what I do.
Just chuck it in.
It'll lie on the pool table for long enough, and then it just gets swept into that cupboard, and it can lie in the fucking cupboard.
If it lies there for 6 months and you don't use it, you might as well.
Might as well eBay it.
I had a huge clear out of gear that I just sold or traded in, to buy other stuff. It was
to buy more gear.
I'm doing that. I've got a stack load of stuff that I need to get rid of. Like I've got the old Pocket 2, the original DJI mic. Jesus. Sound recorders.
I did
an old drone. There's just all sorts of key through there that. My old Canon camera, the old 750D, I've got that with lenses that I just don't. You don't need it anymore. Phone does everything, doesn't it? So
yeah. It's so easy. There's a whole pile of companies that'll do that for you now. Now you can obviously go through the hassle and the eBays and marketplace and all that kind of stuff. But I just use is it MPB? I just use them, and I know I'm probably not getting. MPB just trading all your old stuff, right? And yeah, you maybe not get as much money as you're going to get selling it privately, but you just put it in a box, they send somebody down, they pick it up, they check it, and the next day the money's in your bank. Dead easy.
Wow.
Dead easy. Yeah.
MPD.
MPB.
MPB. Right.
Yeah. Aye.
I need to look at that then.
Never had any issues with them. The as long as you're honest with it, with the quality of your kit, they'll be honest with a price, and if you like the price, they'll take it off your hands and you get it next day. Very good.
That could be a lot of grief. That could be save me a lot of grief.
Yeah. And the only thing is if you get kind of obscure stuff, so like they wouldn't take my drift, for instance, and they wouldn't take my Insta360 stuff. Funnily enough, that was a bit weird. But DJI stuff, Canon, Nikon, all that stuff, they'll take that. Sigma, Tamron, all that, any of these kind of things you've got, all recognised big names that they know they can resell on. It's definitely worth just going on, putting what you've got in, and they'll send you a quote.
Cheers, man. I'll have a look at that.
You just don't take drifts because they're crap. So.
I can understand why they take a drift. Do you know what I mean? So,
what a shame. That was a fantastic, like, industry leading British company, Drift. Yep. It was fantastic. Remember the old Ghost S that they did? 1080. It was like the perfect moto vlogging camera for the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Plug the mic straight in. Brilliant. Watertight with the way the way the mic plugged in, 3.5 mil straight in the camera, rubber seal around it. Gosh, beautiful. And then they came out with that 4K key, and Jesus, it just nosedived.
Was it when we had the XL?
The 4K, I had the XL one,
battery.
The big battery, and you get the wee battery spare with it, and it was just terrible. Terrible.
Man. It was just,
and even just to be innovations of turning the lens round. So if you were being at the edge of it, some really nice wee bits, and then it just.
Well, they sold it, didn't they? They sold it on to an overseas company who then sold it to someone else, and it's just shite now. Yeah. I had a little rant recently. Yeah. Lovely boy. I had a little rant recently about cameras because I've moved to the Insta Ace Pros now, and they'd been almost 100% faultless. Just occasionally with the rain seemed to play havoc with the sound. But, I thought I overcame that with my moldable putty, just molding that around the audio adapter and round where the 3.5 goes in and everything. I thought I'd sorted it. But, it just seems to be, rain seems to be its nemesis now. And like on the Scotland trip, some rain got in somehow past the putty, and where the audio adapter attaches to the camera, that's also the SD card slot. Right. Why they didn't put it in the battery side like the X3, X4?
Put it underneath so that it's
so it's at least under like a water
it makes no sense.
Rubber barrier seal type thing. So as soon as water gets in, it corrupted a couple of SD cards, and I was like, no. So like I don't know if I can rescue that footage or not. I've tried rescuing it with the software I've got, and it's no good. So I'm like, fuck, I have to try and rescue that. But yeah, I just had a rant because I was like, none of the cameras, GoPro, DJI, or Insta, none of them are 100% at all. Like, I think the DJIs, if you use the wireless mic as a solution, that seems to be brilliant. But then you can't record the comms. You can't record the comms. Well, you can if you use an external sound recorder, I suppose, and do it that way. But then you've got the DJI mic, the camera, the external sound recorder. It's just a pain in the arse. And same with the Insta, you can use that DJI wireless mic with the Ace Pro now as well. So I thought, right, I'll bite the bullet and I'll buy I've got the old Zoom F2 sound recorder because that's what everyone says. That's what we use. So I bought that, but you can't record the comms with that because it's a mono audio input. It's not a stereo input. So I was like, that's not fucking use. But then I thought, I've got it all out here on the desk because I've been testing it. I've got the old, the Zoom H1 handy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a stereo input. So I've tried that, connecting that up to, just the normal 3.5 mil stereo output I've got from my helmet. And it does. It picks up both channels. So it picks up my lav mic and it picks up the output from the comms. So that's going to be my next port of calls, testing that to see if that's going to finally work. But it's still not it's still a workaround, isn't it? It's like, how hard can it be?
Somebody needs to come out with a shit hot camera that you can literally plug into. It's sealed tight.
Yeah.
And you can just plug comms or Bluetooth your comms straight to it and record comms. Somebody needs to do something. Do you know what I mean?
Somebody, please somebody do it.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, please do. I know.
There's whispers there's a new GoPro coming out.
Yeah, it's due very, very soon. I was seeing that,
It is, yes. I think there's a 13, and then they're calling, there's another one. There's like I think the light version is called the 13, I think. And then there's a name for the all singing, all dancing, or it's the other way around. There's a name for the light version and the 13s. But I mean, they're in
perfect. They're not perfect either.
It has to be though for GoPro, doesn't it? Because
they've kind of slipped right behind.
So, why? Yeah. Who knows?
I'm just going to go on mute for a second, blow a nose. Apologies.
No bother. The thing is, we'll all go out. I mean, I will. They will release a new GoPro. I'll buy it and try it. And I think there's going to be so many people out there that'll do exactly the same. They'll buy it and try it and see. But well. Anyway. Happy Gilmore. Are they bringing out a new Happy Gilmore? Is that right? Did I hear that right?
I'm sure I've seen something about that, yeah.
Social media's got something about a new Happy Gilmore coming, but I always take social media with a pinch of salt. Do you know what I mean? Because you just don't know. There's so much fan-made stuff now that you look at it and go, that real? Is that no real?
And then, of course, it was the kind of anniversary of it, kind of big anniversary, 30 years or something like that, one of those kind of things. So, and there was bits and bobs like Adam Sandler and the guy that plays the baddie in it, I can't remember his name. Scooter, what was his name? Anyway,
Shooter McGavin,
right? And they were having a bit of banter across to each other and that kind of thing. So, I think it was one of these media storms that's going. They're going to do another one. Who knows? I would love them to do another one. I love that film. But
Adam Sandler was on Rogan recently, and I think he was talking about it on that. I was listening to the episode when I was riding back from Scotland last week. And I'm sure he was chatting about, Happy Gilmore too, I think. Yeah.
That'd be good. As long as they don't wreck it. As long as they don't wreck it.
I mean, could they make that kind of film these days? That's the thing though. Everything's so woke these days. Could they get away with it?
Have you seen Death of Wolverine?
Oh no, yeah.
Good point. No, I've not. No. That's on the list.
I can tell you they can get away with it. If that's the case.
I can't wait to see. I love them. Can't wait to see it.
So good.
Right. Louise has another question. Long-term ownership on the Pan America. What's it like and what problems am I looking at after a few years of riding? I've not owned many, but it's the best bike I've ever owned.
Like every other bike at a minute, depreciation.
Yeah.
And that's just not a Pan problem. That's a massive problem across the board. Do you know what I mean? Like take the 1250 GSA. Markets fell out of them. There's so many out there second hand. If you go to trade one in, you're getting peanuts for it. My wife went to look at trading in her year-old Ninja 1000 SX, the performance tourer. So it's got everything for lack of profit, the whole shooting match. She's losing about $5,000 on it.
Jesus, really?
Second-hand market's plummeted. So as long as you're fully aware of that, then fine. In terms of the Pan, I love the Pan. I know it's a hit and a miss. Some people didn't like it and all that. And I know when I finished, about 2 weeks after I finished the Flying Scotsman tour, my engine just decided to eat itself and disintegrate. But in fairness to it, mine was probably the first ones, and it sat on a plinth at Harley's HQ in Oxford. And because that was the spec and colour I wanted, my salesman had to go and speak to the guy at head office and ask if they would sell it. But I think that engine always had an inherent fault because it was one of the first. I think had I bought that bike with a newer engine, the 22 engine in it, it would have been fine. And then fair to Harley, in 6 weeks they had the whole thing stripped out and a brand new engine put in it. And it was great. It was brilliant after that. I only got rid of it because I was at that point in my PCP that I could just hand it back, which is always nice. And my current bike had sat there for a couple of months just screaming at me, and they'd taken so much money off of that bike that it was just, I was like, nah, I'm sorry, I'm just buying it. I mean, I genuinely think the Pan's I think it's got character, put it that way. It's not as smooth as a Triumph 1200 because it's not a triple, big V-twin, a lumpy V-twin at that. It's not as refined as GS. You know what I mean? But in terms of character, it's got tons of character. You know what I mean? So,
but I've got to say this as a 1300 owner, GS owner, I'm kind of bored. I am bored. Yeah, there's
so many people say that, don't they? It's
just
so,
not engaging enough. It's the engine. It is so quick. It is an unbelievable. It's the quickest of the adventure bikes off the mark for sure. Top end, no. KTM's going to beat it, but like off the mark,
the torque's phenomenal on that 1300.
Like if you put a like for like rider on that, the GS is going to win every day of the week.
Yeah,
but the engine has just got this horrible wheezy rattle to it. I fucking hate it. It really gets me down because when you ride with like a KTM or Ducati or something, even the Pan, you ride with another bike with like a character engine like that. Not the Triumphs, they just wheeze. But like the GS, the GS just sounds. I don't know. It sounds like the elderly uncle that's like got emphysema and is just wheezing in the corner and can't do anything. It's horrible. I don't like it. I've bought a new exhaust system for it. This QD Italian exhaust called the QD exhaust system, and I've put the slip-on, but it hardly makes any difference. So I've got the headers as well. So I need to put the headers on, which will decat the system, and I'm hoping that maybe transfers it. Because even when you take the slip-on and it's just running direct from the headers, the engine note is hardly any different. It doesn't change much putting the slip-on on. So obviously all of that muting of the engine is done by the cat, isn't it? So
that Euro 5 crap.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to put these new headers on and just see if it just transforms the character of that engine. Brilliant. There's a few other bits that I'm a bit about. Like it feels much lower now. It didn't initially when I rode it. I'm only noticing it in the last few months. I feel like I'm sat much lower in it than I used to be. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm starting to get a bit down on the bike.
But the 1300 versus 1250 is lower anyway.
The seat is. Yeah.
Aye. And then it has that. Does it not have that adaptive or adjustable?
Only if you buy it with that. I didn't buy it. Obviously, I don't need it, so I didn't have that on mine. But I think what it is the seat height's slightly lower, and the foot pegs are a bit higher, so you just feel a little bit more cramped
up, yeah.
Aye, than I did on the 1250. Yeah. I've changed the foot pegs, and they've made a bit of a difference. I've got big chunky foot pegs.
You put the Motor Rider ones on it.
The Lone Rider motor pegs. Yeah.
I had those in my Pan. They were brilliant.
Aye, they make a difference, don't they? Much more comfortable. But I'm still feeling a bit cramped on the bike, and I don't know if that's just because I'm a bit hacked off with it because it's it's got a horrible wheezy engine.
You'll find fault where there's maybe not as much as it.
Change of pipe, see what happens.
Aye.
You might fall in love with it again.
I think I think orange is on my horizon. I really do. I think I've fought this for a long time, but I think this new 1390 Super Adventure, it's not going to be shite, is it? So I think that could be the future at some point. Although the Ducati is, I had the V4S Grand Tour for the Pyrenees Tour, and I've got to say I really like that bike. Really like that bike. Yeah.
Yep, the bike balance like that bike.
Yeah, I mean, it was 25.5 grand, the one I've got. So it's about 4 grand more than the GS. Yeah. But then the service intervals are a lot less.
Aye, residual guaranteed future value. Residual value is probably better because it's,
maybe not on my mileage.
Oh, well, aye, because you did a shit ton of miles.
Not as much as I used to, but you're still looking at 20 odd thousand a year. So that obviously adds up quick, doesn't it? So yeah, it has an impact for sure. Yeah. Okay. So for Louise, then, in terms of long-term-ish ownership of the Pan America, is there anything that she should be looking out for that you'd recommend?
I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? If you can get a decent 23 plate, don't get me wrong, she's going to buy a brand new, wait for the 24s. I don't think many dealerships have got 24s because they've still got a rake of 23s to sell. So you may get a really good deal on a 23. The 24,
she's got one. She's bought one.
She bought one. All right, okay. The only thing, because the 24's got a new battery in it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the only thing I would say is the battery on the Pan. Not great. You know what I mean? I think if you put a lithium-ion battery in it, if you put one of those, it would be much better. In terms of it starts, by all accounts, it starts a lot better. Whereas with the kind of traditional battery, it's a bit kind of hey, and then it gets going. But that's because it's this one touch, just touch it and let it go, and it does its thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, just make sure that you're AC50 in it, AC50 in it, or you know what I mean, whatever rust blocker of choice you choose, just make sure.
Does it dissolve?
It's not too bad, to be honest.
Right.
It's much better than what I thought it was going to be. It's not like buying a big chrome monster. Do you know what I mean? Obviously not a Speedmaster, Ian. But
yep.
Normal, traditional chrome Harley. But no, it wasn't. Honestly, it's not too bad. It's just little things like see where your mirrors attached to the actual bar itself. There's those two little nuts. Those were starting to kind of go a wee bit, but I'd done about 8,000 miles on that and had it for like 2 years. So it's like, I mean, you can expect wee bits like that. The rest of it was fine. It wasn't any, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing. But I mean, if you don't look after it, most bikes will rust at some point.
Of course, absolutely. That doesn't sound too bad at all, Louise. So I look forward to seeing it. Louise is coming away with us to the Alps in September.
Lovely, enjoy.
Yeah, so,
nice.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to sound awesome.
No, I will say though,
the hills.
Louise, if you get the original Scotchers or whatever tyre of choice was on that bike, honestly, the Brucey boy put me on to the Dunlop, the Trail Max Meridians. See when the Pan totally transforms that bike.
Does it?
Makes it so much stickier. And the Michelin tyre's not a bad tyre, but it's not until you put that on it that you realise that it has got more grip in there just on that. So can highly recommend sticking a set of those Trail Max Meridians on there.
But Louise, do not then go on about it for the whole tour about how good your tyres are, because it does get just a wee bit too much at times. So
in my defence,
put them on and enjoy them in silence, would you? You know.
In my defence, Daniel, Dave, and Lewis, I was high on fumes because I was sat behind you.
That's true. That's fair. Fair point.
Right, come on, we've got to get to that story. Right, I'm gonna bypass the next couple of questions. I will come back to them. So we'll go on to Danny Seaton. I'll not ask too many questions, though I have several for both average boys. Maybe to start a conversation, you can ask what Iain loves about the smell of petrol and his fantastic control of drones, and ask Darren about a spiritual awakening in Galway. Look forward to seeing all three of you soon. Come on then, petrol story, let's have it.
So, love my Speedmaster, but after having it for a year, the thing started spitting petrol out the tank. Right, so
at the cap, by the way,
at the cap, right? So, so if I had this bike for a year, I've been filling up to a particular level for a year, not a problem, and then maybe about a month or a month and a half before we're due to go to Ireland, the bike decides that when you fill it up, whatever's happening, you know, whether the breathers are not working properly or something in the tank, it was if you filled the tank up, it spat petrol out the cap. So
it was like Dante's Inferno.
Aye, so and it was like all over so it's pouring over my nice shiny chrome tank, so you can just imagine that. So, and I didn't have time to get it replaced under warranty. It did get replaced under warranty eventually, but so every time, and my biggest gripe of the Speedmaster is the size of the tank. It's got a very small tank for a bike that you can that's comfortable and you want to go long distances on. You get about 100 odd miles out of a tank.
Sheesh.
It's not. Yeah, it's really, really, you know,
15 litre tank.
It's a 15 litre tank. So you're filling the tank up, and we're about and I can't fill it to the top because it's going to pish petrol everywhere.
It's
so
a 14-litre tank.
Yes, it's a 14 litre tank. So every time we pulled into a petrol station in Ireland, I had to eyeball it to get it to get it low enough that it didn't spit out, and more often than not, I got it wrong. So literally, or I got it just about right, but it was one of those days where you then put your petrol in the bike, and then you were starting and stopping for about a mile in the heat,
or going up a hill, or down a hill, or
up a hill, down a hill. Yeah, the minute you could, if you could just pull away from the petrol station and get 3 or 4 miles on the flat, you were okay, and didn't stop. But the minute you had to brake suddenly, or you had to tip the bike, you had to go up a hill or down a hill, the thing just started absolutely tanking petrol to the point that the guys behind me were smelling it for probably for the next 10-20 miles. We just smell of petrol, the Triumph were great, and they took it back in, and they replaced the cap, but kept the key barrel, so I still had the one key, and I put it back on. Guess what? Didn't work. Right, so it's still spitting petrol. They then said, well, it's because the seals in the key bit were knackered as well. So they replaced that, and it does now work, and doesn't spit petrol. But if I overfill it even a tad now, it will spit petrol again. So I'm kind of falling a wee bit out of love with the bike, because I don't know, and Triumph, when I went to Triumph, they did say, look, Ian, you're overfilling the tank. I mean, well, how come I've been overfilling the tank for a year and nothing's happened, and now this is happening? So how you kind of just start to lose a wee bit of trust in your bike, because of it, and I love the bike. I absolutely adore the bike, but this one wee thing's just this wee shadow.
I mean, how can you overfill? I literally brim my fuel tank every time I fill it up. I top it up so it's right at the very top of the tank, and then I stop and I wait and I shiggle the bike around and wait for it to drop down again. Yeah. I do that a few times until the level just stays, and it's literally right at the very top.
Yeah, and 20 years of riding a motorbike, and I've kept it. That's the level I've put in all my bikes. And of course, I had a Triumph Street Cup before I had the Triumph Speedmaster. The Harley Sportster S, crap size of tank for that bike. Another one that only gave you between like 95 and 105 miles. Oh, yeah. Filled it up.
Notorious, right? Isn't it, that one?
Notorious. It's terrible, right? So, but I filled it. You fill it right up. Now, I'm now keeping it below the 3 breather holes that are at in the rim of the tank. I'm keeping it well below that, but I'm probably losing 10-15 miles of range every time I fill up the bike now, just to stop that from happening. And I just I can't understand why that would happen after a year, and it's somehow my fault. But anyway, but the bottom line was the guys were high in fumes constantly in Ireland, and of course, because it was such a small tank, we had to stop double the amount of times that you guys would probably have stopped in your tours. So
I was getting about 240 mile to my tank, and Danny was getting more than that. Do you know what I mean?
And I'm getting 110, 114 maybe. If I filled it up, but then I'm losing about 10 miles just through sniffing it. And and cleaning it off my jeans.
You can fly the last 10.
Fly the last 10. And so it was a real disappointment in what I think for me is probably the best bike for my type of riding that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And apart from this,
if any of us had smoked, right, and accidentally dapped a fag, like they two astronauts that are stuck in a space station would have seen our road and what route we took.
Because they've been up to say hello to them. But
Ghost Rider.
And I would, and if any your listeners are listening and they've had that same problem, please let me know, because I can't honestly, hand in heart, believe it's all my fault. No. Now, if it is all my fault, I'll go, do you know what, fair enough, I'll put my hand up and say I'm overfilling it, but you saw how much I filled it, Dan. Danny saw how much I filled it, and I was not overfilling that bike, and it was just
and if that was a thing, it would be a thing for the minute you go to the bike on day one.
Of course it would. That's I really get annoyed when dealerships or particularly the manufacturers, when they try and palm you off with just bollocks. I mean, that is plainly bollocks, isn't it? Yeah. It is bollocks, because otherwise it would have happened from day one. Why has it changed? Something has changed. Something is not right anymore. And like, I fucking hate that. It's like, be accountable. People are spending money for your product. If you just turn around and go, yeah, there's an issue. I'm sorry, we don't know what it is, but we're gonna try and figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Sorry, there's nothing we can do at the moment. There's blatantly an issue. We'll try and sort it out. But then to palm it off. I'm going through it at the moment with BMW. I've really fallen out in love with BMW. My rear brake pads, literally, it's 600-mile service. The rear brake pads, they told me they needed changed, and I was like, "You're having a laugh. What are you talking about?" No, they don't. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, they're at the point where we would change them." I said, "This is 600 miles. I don't even use the rear brake." So, oh, well, they're linked brakes. And see, I know they're linked brakes, but I've owned 5 GSs. I've probably done over 200,000 miles on these GSs, and they've never, ever needed changing in the 600-mile service. So I didn't change in there, and they had to be changed at 6,000. But it's 6,000-mile service, the first proper big service, the first main service.
Yeah.
They turned around to me and said, oh, your rear brake disc is low. It's on the warning markers. And this is the actual disc, not the pads, the disc. And I was like, well, that's not right. Something's plainly not right there, because I had 60,000 mile on the last GS, and that never, none of the discs needed changing on that. So again, I said, well, I'm not changing it. There's something plainly wrong there. Something needs to be sorted. I took it in for the 12,000 mile service a couple of weeks ago, and again, they're like, it's now at the point, this is a red. We need to change these. So I was like, well, something's plainly not right here. So you need to form. My dealership were great. They lodged a technical with BMW, and BMW have come back and said, with these new brakes at 12,000 miles, that is the sort of wear that we would expect. So I'm like, so just to confirm here, you're saying at 12,000 miles, you expect it's normal to have to change your brake disc? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay.
Don't make them out of tinfoil then.
That's bollocks. I've never had a bike that needed that, ever. And I don't use the rear brake. I'll use it for real slow speed stuff if I'm commuting or something. In the old days when I used to commute. But normal riding, I don't trail the rear brake going into corners or anything like that.
It's just such lazy service, to just turn around and say, well, that's, because they're saying, well, that's fine, every 12,000 miles or whatever, we're going to get another X amount of pounds for a new disc.
Exactly. Yeah. And every, was it 60,000? Is it 60,000 mile or kilometre now? They're saying for the 1,300, it'll need a new drive shaft.
What?
Yeah. But on the 1,250, they'll I think it's every 80 or 90,000, and they'll replace it under warranty for free. But with the 1,300, down to you. So I'm like, that's fucking saucy.
Yeah,
it's a big expense for an already expensive. Well, all bikes are expensive these days, but
true.
I know. And the thing with my petrol issue is like that. Is like, I don't want to be riding around on a bike that's spitting petrol. So I will now fill it not quite as high as I normally would, because so I can't really even go back and say it's not doing it anymore. You know what I mean? Because just for my own safety and everything. But what it means is that come the time it's financially viable for me to trade that bike in, I will trade it in, and I will think very, very long and hard before I get another Triumph.
Yeah. True.
And
I was the same. I
love Triumph. I love Triumph. I've got a couple of them now, and I really like the guys at the dealership. Really like them, and really like going in and chatting away with them. And it kind of breaks my heart a wee bit to not be able to give them the business. But I'm really struggling with thinking why I would get another Triumph right now. If
that comes. I'd be filling it to the brim, and when it did it again, I'd be taking it down and going, "There's the keys.
Aye.
Don't give me back till you fixed it."
I mean, the next option is...
And then I'd log in a complaint to my finance company to go, by the way, this is the 4th time it's been in, and if you don't fix it, I want my money back, and let the finance company fight it. But again, that's me, and again, I'm just as pally with the guys in that dealers.
Absolutely.
But again, no love lost, and my problem wouldn't be with the guys, it's with the actual Triumph.
Yeah, with the manufacturer, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, yeah, but,
Anyway.
there we go. So,
and
then,
that
obviously,
that was the petrol story.
we touched on
Drones.
the drone thing.
Yeah.
Well, we just did the wee Hover X1, and I basically had forgot
The
to set it to rise, and
It's age. These things happen.
I didn't exactly, I hadn't taken the tablets, so and I literally pressed it, and it flew backwards straight into a hedge. And we have a nice wee bit of video footage we can put up on the channel and let people just see this tiny wee thing just collapsing. And Danny and Darren almost wetting themselves with laughter at the fact
It's
that
not
it was
that.
like,
It's the highlight is right. We've been on the bike since like 8 in the morning, and it was about 6:15 at night. So we've been on the bike all day.
Yeah.
It was like, right, that's it. The tour started, and we were all high on adrenaline.
get the drone out.
Gets the drone up, and we were all putting the pose on, and it went straight in a hedge. But that was me and Danny. That was it. Gone. It was just uncontrollable.
And then when we visited the beach. When we visited the beach where they filmed the Banshees in a Sharon as well, I nearly hit an old age pension on the head with the drone because they kind of walked into the way of it, and Danny's just looking at me going, is that going to be all right? Is that going to be okay? And I'm going, I don't know, but I can't control it. It's automatic. I'm just going to have to hope it doesn't hit them.
But that first night, he took the hover one out and it went straight back into the bush. And he went, I don't know what happened there. Picks it out the bush, and takes the twigs and shoots it. Then goes, I've not put that setting on. And then did it again, and it went up slightly more, and it hit a tree and went shoot, and was heading for the main road where the trucks gone by, and it was
However, it didn't quite make the main road, and the hover one is still intact and working fine. So
it is a brilliant little bit of kit. I use it like as an extra cameraman, because it's. Have you done it with the sound yet? Have you used it with the the mic on your?
Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah,
and it eliminates the sound of the drone.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So clever.
And then you can,
so clever.
like, especially if you've got the wireless mic option, the DJI wireless mic, and you put the transmitter into your phone, and then you can just have like the lav mic here with a dead cat on it. It's brilliant. What a setup! So I just use it. I can. Have you unlocked all of the different fly modes on there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's ones where it'll just follow you around. It'll follow you from the side, from the front, from the back. There's also, you can fly it from your phone as well if you want.
Yeah, that's quite tricky to do, but because it's just that slight delay
off the screen,
off the screen. The one I like is to kind of dolly on, but it's in front of you and it follows you, and that's really clever how it will just, it just does that. And as long as you don't walk into a wall, it's not going to hit a wall, allegedly. Yeah. So it's a great wee bit of kit. Really is. Really, really pleased with it. Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to see what this new Pro Max one is going to be like when it comes out. Yeah, definitely. But I mean,
there's a lot of noise, but they'll probably end up kickstarting it, and it'll be another year before we even see it. So, but we'll see. Let's look at 8K video, which sounds exciting, but then you go, who needs 8K when everybody's watching things on small screens?
Exactly.
I mean, I'll film in 4K, but I'll process in 1080p. I think you're the same, aren't you, Bruce? Yeah, I don't put stuff out in 4K. I put it
out 4K for the telly. It goes out at 4K because there's, I would say, about 50% of my viewership on YouTube is watching on the TV now, according to analytics.
I just find a 4K telly, the modern ones have got such good upscalers.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's still very, very watchable, and unless you're a real visual geek. And I mean, I'm a bit cloth-eared and a bit of a visual cloth-eared, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't bother me as much, but I can understand if if you just paid all this money for a beautiful 65-inch 4K TV and somebody says just watch this 1080p thing. But it's for me, certainly work I'm doing with dance schools and all that kind of stuff and things that I help out with. They're just sending it out as a download for mums and dads to watch on their laptops or on their iPads and all these kind of things. So I've never had anybody want to upgrade to 4K. So it also makes processing quicker, to be fair. It doesn't hold up the laptop quite so much. But 4K for me is great because then you can zoom in and stuff a bit closer and crop. You can bring it in 4 times, which is great. So that's my kind of creative decision for that. But
it just gives you more scope in the edit, doesn't it? For sure.
And that would be the reason for getting 8K, to give you that level of scope in the edit and be able to pull in a lot of things, especially when you're I do a lot of filming of shows. So when you're filming a stage straight on, to be able to zoom in a key bit of the stage where the action's happening and not lose your quality and all that is just, it's invaluable. So, yeah.
Nice one. Darren, spiritual awakening in Galway.
No, this is the black stuff.
Yeah, Taffs in Galway.
Very. So on this trip, I was like, the boys were like, because obviously Danny and Ian are big Guinness drinkers, and they were like, "Oh, you need to try Guinness in Ireland." I'm like, don't like it. Drank it in a pub in Fountainbridge in Edinburgh once when I was 19, and it was vile. No thanks. No for me. I'll quite happily have a Maduri and lemonade. Do you know what I mean? So gets there. And Ian's like adamant, no, wait till we get to Galway, because there's a pub in Galway which is like the second best pint of Guinness, if not the best pint outside of Dublin ever. And that's where to have your first Guinness. I was like, right, okay. So we gets to Galway, didn't we? We had the taxi driver for Total Recall, the 80s one.
Oh, he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Johnny, what was he like, man? He was just, I think he thought his Uber was actually a motorbike. He was
Johnny Cap. Yeah, it was up on pavements. Oh, it was brilliant.
Anyway,
superb.
Gets to Galway, finds Taft's Tavern in Galway. So Andy's in Galway, hit Taft's Tavern for a pint. Honest to God, it was the best thing I'd ever tasted in my life.
Really?
Honestly, honest to God, hands down, the best pint I've ever had.
What was the difference? What was so different about it?
It's just smoother. It's creamier. You know that way we pick up a pint and you'll have a drink, and then you put it down, and then you have another 3 visits. It was like 1, 2, gone. And and just as we get into the bottom, the lassie gives the wee nod. She starts pouring the next one. She just knew. Do you know what I mean? And even these two, who are Guinness seasoned, do you know what I mean, were like, "That's the best pint I've ever had. That's the best pint of Guinness I've ever had."
I've had Guinness in St James Gate, in the actual Sky Bar in Guinness, and that's a better pint of Guinness than the ones from the Guinness Brewery.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I think
the best pint of Guinness in Dublin is the Gravediggers Bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Taft's Bar in Galway, absolutely. Go in there and get your Guinness. Because, I mean, to be fair, I'd finished my first pint while you were still drinking your first pint, because
you didn't split the G, you just went straight to the bottom of the glass.
I know, yeah. And then of course I introduced the guys to split the G. So that became the kind of challenge for the rest of the trip.
Oh, getting the level down to
getting it down so they're like so that's kind of
So no, ever to that point on, it was just like, right, we're going for Guinness. It was to the point where it was like, right, big man, you're starting to fucking annoy us now. You know what I mean?
You're an addict.
We need to go and get Guinness. Do you know what I mean? So I'm drinking it in the house now and everything. Even Guinness Zero, actually. Guinness Zero.
That's not bad, is it? It's all right.
It's all right, by the way.
Because we did a podcast on the alcohol-free beers, and we came to the conclusion that most of them taste like cornflakes. So, especially Erdinger 0%, that is just like liquid cornflakes. So Guinness Zero does actually taste relatively like Guinness, so it's a pretty decent beer.
And if you get it on draft here in Scotland, it's actually smoother and creamier than a normal Guinness, because the Guinness here tends to be a bit colder. It's almost extra cold. Do you know what I mean? Which makes it quite sharp, makes it crisper. You lose a lot of the smoothness, whereas the would you call it?
He went to Galway, had a few pints against Galway. All of a sudden, he's an expert.
He's a connoisseur now, isn't he? Like,
by the way,
he's written a book.
By the way, I went to see Pearl Jam in July in Manchester, and actually detoured to what is apparently the best pint of Guinness in the on mainland UK. Do you know what I mean? And actually, it wasn't all that. It was all right, but I didn't think. But then
he's going to write a guidebook, isn't he? He's going to write a book soon.
Yeah.
No,
my name's Darren, and I'm an addict.
I'm going to go round the world on my bike, Bruce, and just find the best pints of Guinness.
I've done that. Have I told you about it? I've done that.
Did you find the best Guinness?
No, didn't drink.
Well,
didn't see anyone. Didn't do anything.
You need to go back round again.
Oh,
don't take the 1300 though. You know what I mean? Unless you're carrying a bag full of spare bits, disc brakes and all that.
That bike's going to have to work hard, I think, to reignite the fire.
You could always trade it in and buy a GSA. It's a lovely looking thing.
Right, I'm not kidding you. I mean, I won't. I've got no aspirations to buy the GSA at all.
The Duplo bike.
But I actually like it.
Anyway, thanks for listening to
Nice.
I didn't like it at the launch. I thought, what have BMW done? They have killed the GS brand. I genuinely thought, you have killed your brand. The next day,
we're calling it a Duplo bike.
Yeah. The next day, I saw a load of pictures on Insta, obviously, and there was one picture, the red and silver one, from a certain angle, and I looked and I thought, oh, I quite like that. And then it just grew on me. Every day there was more pictures, and I was like, oh, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. And then I chatted with Lamb Chops about it, and obviously he was there for the launch. And he said himself, he was like, it actually looks not bad at all in the flesh. And I've spoken to a few people who've seen it now in the flesh, and everybody has all said, yeah, do you know, in the flesh, it's not bad. It's quite an impressive looking bike.
So we're talking about it on our next episode, but that's exactly what we said. As we said, it's going to be like the Desert X. So the Desert X, when we looked at it when it first came out, and you looked at it on paper, and you looked at the pictures, you went, oh, I don't like that. That's a bit ugly. See, when you see it in the flesh, it's a stunning looking bike.
Aye.
And I think that's going to be one of them. I think it's going to be one of those ones you look at it on paper and you go, that's disgusting. But then you see it in the flesh, it's going to look totally different. I genuinely think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a massive seller for BMW. I really do.
I'm very keen to see it in the flesh, to be fair, because, you know, I did, you know, we touched a wee bit on it in a previous episode as well. And I was thinking, you know, yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not photogenic, but, you know, but when you see it in the flesh, it'll actually be a different beast. So I'm keen, and I think we'll if we don't see it beforehand, we will see it when we go down to Birmingham. But,
Birmingham. How sort of depressing is that? It's almost NEC time.
I know.
Where the hell is 24 gone?
I know. It's soul destroying. On the flip side, though, let's just look forward to 2025 and hopefully a better summer. And God knows what else next year's going to bring.
Exactly. Jesus. I just cannot believe how fast the time is flying by.
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy, isn't it? Talking about time, I do have to leave.
Oh, Chris,
for rehearsals kind of soon, but I'll talk as long as I can. Darren, obviously, you just crack on with talking away about anything else, and you can.
He struggles to hold the conversation, does Darren?
He does. He's a bit of a shy, retiring type. You know what I mean?
You mean? I've got a canister of fuel here. I'll be fine. I'll be kept going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I need to go over there and talk with my German accents. And that's you're boring me. So
how we haven't been shut down? Do you know what I mean? Just,
there's time. Don't worry, there's time.
I
thought that chat with TMF when he kept Jesus. I don't know if you listened to it. I was like, oh my God, Andy, don't. I'm going to get cancelled. Bloody hell.
I know I've never met Andy, right? But I know, having listened to like you guys talk and Richie and Lamb Chops and stuff like that, you all say Andy's one person on YouTube.
Why?
You know, in interviews and stuff like that, but then off camera, off mic, he's completely different. He's a hoot.
He's wild.
That was the first time I listened to the podcast with Andy on it and went, I can see glimpses of the real Andy coming in here.
Yeah. He doesn't care. When you see him normally, he doesn't care. He just says what he says, and that's that. And I love that. I love it.
A couple of his latest videos, he's kind of said things that have kind of almost like the mask dropped a wee bit, and then he's went, and put it back up again.
Yeah. So, he slips every now and again, doesn't he? With just a wee comment, and then you went, oh, wait a minute here. Right, okay. Yeah.
Nah, I like Andy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's very switched on. He's very calculated. Everything he does, he's thought about it, and, you know, yeah. There's a reason he says and he does everything on camera for sure. Yeah, he's a good lad. I do like him. Right, cheers to that one, Danny. Thank you very much. I'm sure we're going to revisit Ireland and its stories again through this chat. Next one, to Bob Rocket. Good evening, gents. How we doing? First question for the average guys. Where was the most embarrassing place you've ever farted?
Hey, good question. That's an interesting one. In a very quiet stained glass museum in France, probably.
Oh wow,
it's quite good because the acoustics were phenomenal. You know what I mean?
What key did you get? What octave did you get?
It was pretty high because I was trying to hold it in. To be fair, I don't even think you could have got a credit card to the cheeks and mouths and that trying to hold it in. But and the trouble was that the night before, when I was in France, I discovered that this region of France we're staying in had a very particular delicacy, which was a type of sausage which was made from pig intestines and smells of a pig's colon. So I was like, well, I've got to try that, So it smelled.
So
like
you'd been sampling the local
Parmesan.
sausage the night before.
I was sampling the local sausage with a faint aroma of, and the next day the aroma came back out in the middle of a stained glass museum. I'm pretty sure I steamed up a couple of, religious icons that were shining through. There we go. Yeah. In most recent times, there you go.
I don't tend to get embarrassed by that kind of stuff because it just happens. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't think I've ever. I did it at parents' night once. We were sat close to a teacher chatting away, and it just, just one of the. You get older, your core starts to kind of deplete.
Your valves not quite as airtight anymore, is it?
No.
If I'm having a wee series of them and I'm particularly smelly, right? How we get onto scatological humour, I don't know, but I'm particularly smelly. If I'm I present and sing karaoke and stuff like that, right? So I'll wait till a wee old man comes up to the bar and then I'll let one rip and everyone just assumes it's the wee old man at the bar. Yes. So deflection.
That's horrific, Ian.
Flatulence
You're going
deflection.
to hell. I'll see you there.
It's a strategy. Flatulence deflection. That's
genius, big man. I like that.
Yeah, that's that.
I think that should be a sport now. Mm-hmm. I think we should make that a sport.
To be fair, it's probably do better for the Australians than breakdancing. So,
oh man, what was that all about?
Oh, it's still going, and it's still going.
Was she serious?
Good memes, though.
Was she actually serious?
I don't know. There must be a bigger story to that than this.
It's because the Americans are putting it in at the next Olympics. Breakdancing will be part of the next Olympics. The Americans are putting it in.
Are they?
And yet ironically, they're taking out boxing.
I know.
What?
Taking out boxing and put breakdancing in.
You are how can they?
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
The world is insane. How can you take boxing out?
I know. Take anything else out. You know what I mean? Synchronized swimming. That's not a sport. Take that out.
That's just floating with panache. Do you know what I mean? It's not sport.
Drowning with style.
Yeah, exactly.
Drowning in music.
I mean, when I looked at what all the fuss was about, because I didn't watch it, and then I saw it in the news on the socials, so you see the clips of it, and then when I watched the clips, I was just like, well, she's plainly just taking the piss. But apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently that's
she won a competition to represent Australia.
Was she the only entrant?
No, apparently not. So it's
didn't make a wish.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Ray Gunn, you did your best. You did your best.
Ray Gunn.
Awesome.
Don't start with that accent, or you're going to then go into the rehearsals going, all right, mate.
All right, mate.
G'day.
Ik liebe meine kleinen Schnauzerwelpen. Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, here's one for you. I think this could be the discussion for the evening. Second question from Two Bob Rocket. Question for all: does quantum entanglement mess with your head?
Oh, no.
Right. Firstly, Darren, what is quantum entanglement? Ian, what is quantum entanglement?
Is that not the basis for Quantum Leap? Remember the old program Quantum Leap?
Yeah, it'll be a precursor to asymmetrical theory, and
obviously it's the first thing that came to my mind.
And obviously the kind of the reverse string theory that's very popular at the moment within kind of many of the kind of quantum physicist circles. Absolutely. It's probably more that kind of plays in my head a bit more, especially when they've tried so often to prove asymmetrical theory, but it just can't quite be done yet. Theoretically, it's there on paper. I just watched an episode of The Big Bang Theory, right? So I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Clearly.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Where's Sheldon when you need him?
Where's Sheldon when you need him? So
I'm sure quantum entanglement is that not two or opposing cells?
I'll tell you what it is.
occupying the same space.
Right. I've just Googled it. This is what Wikipedia says. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon of a group of particles being generated, interacting, or sharing spatial proximity in such a way that the quantum state of each particle of the group cannot be described independently of the state of the others, including when the particles are separated by a large distance. I am still none the wiser. Okay, let's find.
It's essentially when the wee old man comes to the bar, you fart and you blame it on him. That is quantum entanglement.
The fart's the quantum entanglement moment.
It's flatulence deflection on a very small scale. That's all it is.
Here it is. Right. Yes, I've heard Joe Rogan chatting about this. Quantum entanglement is a bizarre, counterintuitive phenomenon that explains how two subatomic particles can be intimately linked to each other, even if separated by billions of light years of space. Wow. Yeah, this has got something to do with... Oh, I was thinking this was the one whereby like a particle can have like positive and negative states at exactly the same time, but it's only when you look at
Schrodinger's cat kind of thing.
That's Schrodinger's, isn't it? Whereby it's only when you look at it, it'll suddenly change to what it was. And they've proven that. So that's not entanglement. That's something else.
Yeah, okay. That's something completely different. Yeah, there we go. So no, it doesn't mess with my head because I watched The Big Bang Theory and therefore I just look for the comedy value. It
didn't mess with my head. Yeah, now I'm looking at it and I don't even understand the description of what it is. Now it's messing with my head.
Yes, and I know for a fact at about 10 o'clock tonight I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea in front of the telly or another kind of the black stuff, and I'm going to start circulating that on YouTube, and then all of a sudden my feed on YouTube will be filled with quantum entanglement nonsense.
Yeah, I suppose quantum entanglement essentially is when you put your money into the vending machine and the Twix comes out and then catches itself in the glass. So you already know that you want to eat that Twix, but you're separated by that piece of glass, but you have a connection with that Twix that will never leave you. No matter how old you get, you will always remember that Twix that never fell out the vending machine.
But the wonders of physics come forward there, because all you need to do is give it a good old waldy with your shoulder and it will fall out. Or put money in and you get 2 for 1.
And that's you breaking the entanglements. It's no longer entangled. So quantum entanglement's that state when it's hanging off the glass and you can't get into it. But you can taste it. You can taste that Twix without even having it in your mouth.
If Brian Cox is listening to this,
a bit like my big friend sausage.
That's not what it is.
No. Brian Cox, if you're listening, please give us a shout.
I would love to get Brian Cox on the podcast for a chat. I mean, I wouldn't say anything. I would just go explain everything and then just sit back.
Brian, what's quantum entanglement? And then just sit back. Like that. It's amazing.
And can you relate it to flatulence in a Scottish pub? Discuss.
Imagine if he turned round. It's a bit like this. Gives your analogy. Jesus, Ian, you're a genius.
I'm full of hot air, literally.
You get Brian Cox on brew time. I'm sorry.
I'd love to chat with him. Right. Cheers, Gordon. Thank you for that one, pal. Next one, Patrick Collum. Evening all. So a simple question. What is the best or worst thing you've ever done to a bike? To give an example, I changed the OE rubber on a 2015 versus 1000 years ago and followed a Ride magazine recommendation to give the new Metzler Roadtech 01 a try. It was still a rubbish bike that was rusting within 6 months of new, but it transformed the handling and gave me lots more confidence. So, best or worst thing you've ever done to a bike?
Yeah, I'll probably need to make my last question before I shoot off. Mm-hmm. But best thing I've ever done to a bike was my very, very first bike I got. And I'm in no way mechanical or technical or in any way, right? The average biker bit of me is I wouldn't dream of dealing with the whole mechanical gubbins. It's a piece of magic within an encasing that moves me. Exactly. I can put fuel in it, but it can come out really quickly as well. So when I had my Suzuki GSX F600, my first bike, it was black and yellow, and I put Batman stickers on it. That to me, because it just worked on that bike, and I had in my mind the 1960s version of the Bat bike, and that was me. So that's the best thing I've done at my bike is put but I got the yellow of the fairing to match the yellow of the Batman sticker. So that's, I mean, everybody's listening will be just going like in their head. Sorry, what?
Anyway, Ian, see you later, mate. Enjoy theatre.
I told you that with my last question. The worst thing I've probably done to a bike. I don't really do very much to my bike, so
Sounds like you do.
Apart from put fuel in it, I put fuel in my Triumph too high. The worst thing I've done to a bike is in the being super keen to show my new Sportster S to Darren, taking it out on a wet, greasy day and going round and about that was covered in diesel, probably.
No.
And I'd had the bike 3 days, so that's probably the worst thing I've done to a bike. There you go.
And
Jesus.
But in terms of manipulating a bike, if it isn't putting on like, we've put on wee bits and bobs onto the Triumph, like the backrest and stuff like that. But I don't really fiddle with bikes the way, because it's not, there's loads of bikers out there. I just take it in and get it done by somebody else because I don't trust myself. I would love to.
I'm the same.
Absolutely love to be able to do all that. And every now and again, I'll get the thing pops up that says bike maintenance course or bike thing. Maybe if I retired, I'd go away and I'd do that course. And I just wouldn't trust myself to. I'm the kind of guy who would do it and then turn in, there'd be 5 bolts behind me, and I go, where did they go? I'll find out soon enough.
I'm terrible. It's simple things like I go to put a bolt back in the bike and I managed to strip it. And I'm like, all I had to do was fucking tighten the bloody bolt up.
Aye, yeah, just
and you managed to, and they're all made of cheese now. They're all such soft aluminium now. It doesn't take much, does it? And all of a sudden you've
the most technical I'll get is put it up on a paddock stand and adjust the chain. That's and anything beyond that, I'll leave that to the professionals.
Adjust the what?
The chain. Exactly.
Oh, what is this chain thing you speak?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mr. Belt and Mr. Drive Shaft there. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
What
about you, Darren? Best and worst?
Best thing? Well, I don't know. I've done loads of little good things. Do you know what I mean? I'll avoid the kind of big obvious ones like pipes and stuff like that. BMW RT Wonderlicht Tour Screen. BMW 1250 RT already has a decent sized screen which is electric and it goes up kind of almost vertical, and I put the Wonderlicht touring screen on it, and it was like I could have been sat on the couch in the living room at 110. I could have lit a fag.
Kilometres.
So much. Kilometres.
Yes, obviously, yeah.
No, miles. It's on a closed road.
Obviously. That closed road. We're all using that closed road.
Closed road. Exactly.
Called the M74. You could have literally had a cup of tea and lit a fag behind that screen. It was so good. Do you know what I mean? It was just phenomenal. For buffeting, that thing would just munch miles with that screen on it. It was quite good. The worst thing I've ever put on a bike, I'm going to be quite controversial here and say the Garmin Zumo XT2. Hated it. And it's got a fucking mind of its own. Excuse my French. It's got a mind of its own. Now I know Dickie's got the XT, and he put up, I'll use my ride app and all that stuff. And I tried that, and it's still, I took the GPX files and that were in the XT and sent them to Ian, and he had the my ride app, and it's the two of them still couldn't decide what way they were going. The amount of times on that tour we were on comms going,
what does yours say?
6 miles go left. Mine says in 3 miles go right. Well, let's do yours for a laugh. It was so bad. It's just maybe it was just me not getting on with it, but
right from someone that uses GPS all the time or GPX files all the time, and on the tours, there's 15 of us on the tours. There's a whole variety of different apps and sat navs and stuff that's on there. 99% of the time, any issues are user error. Honestly, they are. Even my own as well. It's user error. A lot of the time, it's the waypoint. The waypoint is slightly off the road or off the route. So even though you've gone by it, you've not passed through the waypoint. So it's still redirecting you, trying to get you back.
Yeah,
it's all sorts of different things. Generally,
Yeah, and I think we discovered quite a few of those things by the end of the week.
Yeah.
You know, the waypoint thing was a big issue. That you're right. If you didn't cancel that
we hadn't even
waypoint,
left and we discovered that issue. Because
that's true.
we went to meet Danny at Abingdon, right?
Aye.
Obviously, you know what I mean? And we left Glasgow and was like, you know what, let's put the sat navs on and we can just test it, just to make sure it works and whatever. And we went along the road, traffic was quite bad, and I says, like, let's cut off there and we'll go that way instead. And the minute we cut off, it went, oh, no, go left up here. It's like, but left up there is literally going in a completely different direction. It tried to loop us back round into the centre of Glasgow to pick up the original road, and it was like,
in fact, we'd got to Abingdon. We were pulling out the roundabout to take us into the Abingdon service station, and it was still telling us to go all the way back to Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah. If you're using the MyRide app, cancel your waypoints, folks. You know, and with that,
all of them. Carly's the same.
Yeah, and with that, I will need to cancel my chit chat with you guys. Thank you very much, Bruce, for putting up with the whitterings of a petrol head, literally a petrol head from the fumes from my tank.
Always good to chat to you, pal.
Darren, you know me well enough that you can answer for me on all these questions.
I'll be fair. I'll be fair to you, mate.
And feel free to flatulently deflect whenever you need to. Please do.
We'll call it. I'm doing an Ian.
Doing an Ian, yeah, that's it. Find an old man and stand next to him and fart.
Honestly, I think that's a sport. I think there's a sport in there.
There is, absolutely.
Oh, mate, enjoy this evening.
Thank you very much.
Rehearsals, isn't it? Is that what you're
rehearsals?
doing?
Yes, yeah.
Enjoy rehearsals.
Normally I'd just skip it, but we're recording some of the music tonight, so I've got to be there. So.
Awesome. No dramas. All right, mate. Have a good one. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
A pleasure, absolutely. Catch you next time. Cheers.
Bye bye.
The sat nav thing caused massive confusion. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do another series of tutorials for Cali because people are messaging me all the time, and I've watched your vids on Cali, and mine doesn't look like that, or it does this and it doesn't do that. I'm like, yeah, it's all changed, so I need to redo it all. And
and that's a quick win for the channel, that one, because it should be a quick edit. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it should be. I have a habit of making simple things very complicated.
What's the worst thing and the best thing you've ever put in a bike or done in a bike?
I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here. Do you know the best thing I've ever put on a bike? Top box.
Oh,
mate, it's fucking brilliant. I love a top box.
Aye,
it's so convenient, and I was genuinely, seriously thinking about swapping the GS for that M1000R. I looked at it. I went as far as looking at finance, and I went as far as looking at insurance. And I thought to myself, I'm going to put a top box on it. I'll put a Lone Rider top box on the M1000R. I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Part of me still wants to do it, but I'll hammer that bike. I will absolutely hammer that bike. You know what I mean? Like 20,000 mile a year. You're talking about residual value. There'll be none of that bike. So, like, the finance would just be ridiculous.
We were booked in for their demo day, and I had booked on the M1000XR and got there, and they double booked it. I was raging. And they were like, we could give this. Is it the 900 XR? I think they had one of them. We gave one of them. I was like, it's not even the 1000 XR. Never mind the M1000 XR. I'd only came here to that. And luckily enough, another guy showed me, he went, well, we've got a demo going on. He said, so just come and give me a shout when you're ready. I was like, all right. And then it's kind of rained every day since. You're like,
Chopsy loves it. He absolutely loves that XR. And then I just had a clan meet up in Dundee there. And Martin Fordham from Fentour, the Fentour channel, he was there. He's got one. He bought the M1000 XR and he absolutely loves it. He loves that bike to bits. But the XR's never done it for me. But that M1000R carbon competition, oh my God. I still dream about that bike. I love it.
You have been saying that right enough, I think, since you took it out, because you think you mentioned it in the last couple of podcasts.
I have. So, I can't stop thinking about that bike. And it's that and the Super Duke R. They're the two bikes that are just there all the time with me. All the time.
I was adamant my next bike, after looking at a few and testing a couple, was going to be the KTM. but no, the Super Duke. I was going to go for the Adventure.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was that close, and then I was just like, I'm going to hang off just in case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, it's the mixed reviews. You hear shocking stories, but then you hear some great stories, and it's like
I'm hearing more positive stories about KTM and Ducati ownership now in the last couple of years than negative, to be honest. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm focusing on it more. I don't know. I'm asking people for their opinions more now than I used to. But I'm hearing, I've got mates that own Ducatis and mates that own KTMs. And the horror stories for the Ducati have come from probably about 2 years plus ago.
Yeah.
They're not within the last two. It's about 2 years, older than 2 years. And with the KTMs, my mate Matt Ward, who's been on the channel loads. I tour with him quite a bit. He's got a 3-4-year-old Super Adventure S, Gen 2, 1290 Super Adventure S. No issues at all. Absolutely none.
Sam Vincent's, got a, he's got a, he's got 1290.
He's got the Super, and he's heavily modded his looks and sounds incredible. I mean, that bike, oh my God. That one talks to my soul because he's done work on the air intake. He's done all sorts. It just sounds amazing.
I see. That's the thing, innit? And then
I just want my GS to have that effect. I want the engine to do that to me, and it just doesn't at the moment.
Maybe the header has a change. Do you know what I mean? The header.
I'm hoping it is.
Get rid of that cat because the cat must be killing it for the Euro 5 thing.
I really noticed it in the Picos when I took it to the Picos, and in the Picos you can kind of stretch the bike's legs a little bit. It's getting worked hard a lot, and the speeds are up there, and in the straights and in the flowing corners and in the tight stuff, you're really working that engine, and that's where I really noticed that the engine's just. It's wheezing. It's like it can't breathe properly. It needs to breathe. So we'll see. We'll see what these.
Can you upgrade the air intake on that bike?
I'm sure you probably could. I mean, obviously you could change the air filter for sure. But just changing the headers, to a smaller. This QD system, the headers still have a cat in it, but it's a very small cat. So it'll still passes all the Euro 5 emissions and all that. It still passes all that. Still entirely legal, but it's not that great big massive cat that was on it. It's a much smaller one. So
saving a chunk of weight as well.
It does. Yeah. But it gives you something stupid like another 15 brake or something. It's daft. But who knows? I just need to find the time to do it.
And your torque as well.
Aye.
Putting the headers on it, you're definitely going to get a torque output as well.
Yeah, maybe it's the torque that goes up. I can't remember. They were basically the only one. They were the only company out there doing headers for the 1300. Akropovich and that, they weren't even doing them yet. So wow. I saw them and just went, bugger it. I blew the money from a couple of tours and I bought this new bloody exhaust system. And then as soon as I bought it, Jekyll and Hyde were like, right, when are we going to get this new exhaust on your bike? I was like, just bought this. Oh, well, never mind.
Oh, well.
What question was that? Oh, yeah, it was Patrick Collin, wasn't it? Best and worst thing. Right, worst thing. What's the worst thing I've ever done to a bike? Probably put me on it. Worst thing I've ever done to a bike.
Sideways in Asia comes to mind, Bruce.
Who?
Sideways in Asia when you went down.
Oh yeah. I know. I've spanked a few bikes. Yeah, for sure.
But worst mod.
Yeah, worst mod I've done on a bike.
It's tricky because I think at the time you only put a mod on if you really think it's worthwhile.
I don't think there's anything I've put on that I've regretted. No, I don't think there's anything I've modded to a bike that I've regretted.
Yet.
Yeah, yet. I'm kind of worried about that. Like if I change the headers, And then I go away to the Alps and the bike breaks down. You're like, oh, Jesus, that's not good, is it? You know what I mean?
I'd maybe do it after the Alps.
I know, but
It means you've got to put up with the wheezing.
yeah, I want to fall back in love with the bike. So it's like, well, let's do it.
Tough call though.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to try and get that done this week if I can. And then I'll have a week of riding it before we go away to see what it's like. Right. Okay. I will. Cheers for that one, Patrick. Next one. Andy. Evening, gents. Hope you're all well. Just a couple of questions from me. Firstly, how did you choose the Pan America? Personally, I tend to avoid the most popular or class leader, so I'm keen to know your thoughts. Second question, as a double act, what's the best and worst feature of each other? Oh, okay.
I'm glad you here for that.
I know. How did you settle on the Pan America initially?
It was it was purely that thing. It was, for me, the Tiger, the BM were the two kind of big leaders, and the Tiger, for all it's smooth, it was just smooth. Didn't really tickle my danglies, to quote something. And the BM was really clinical, and it was good in all areas. Do you know what I mean? The 1250. And then my only thing with the 1250 was because I had the RT, and I quickly fell in love with the RT, and I think it was just more because of the style of bike that it was. I just don't think I was ready for that style of bike when I bought it. So I went and looked, and obviously Harley had brought out the Pan America, and I thought, I'm going to go and test drive it. And I test drove it, and the first test drive, I thought, this is horrible. Because it was dead spongy and all that kind of stuff. And then I was talking to one of the sales guys, and he was like, did you take your demo out? And I went, he says, that's got ARH on it. I was like, that adaptive thingy.
Right,
he went, it ruins the suspension. And I went, what? And he went, aye. He says, couple of weeks, Harley are coming up, and they're bringing them in with it, test ride that. Took that out, night and day, so much stiffer. It's a completely different bike. You can actually put it in a corner, and it went into the corner and it just stuck. Whereas with the one with ARH, for all it's only supposed to kick on at that 15 miles an hour, or when you're coming to a stop, it's almost as if it's semi-active and it's constantly thinking, going, oh, wait a minute, oh no, oh, wait a minute. So that it was almost interfering. Now, you can go into settings apparently and turn it right off, but it was like, no, I don't fancy that. So again, took that one out and was just absolutely blown away by just how much it just had character, because it had that big honky V-twin. Do you know what I mean? And it had loads of power. You know what I mean? And it was, again, it being a Harley, the torque's quite low down on it. And then the guys in the showroom said, listen, Harley are keen for people to go and try it off-road. And they gave every dealership a chance to send a couple of customers, as well as like a member of staff, to the off-road school that they've just opened in Wales. And would you be interested? And I went, well, I'm probably going to buy the bike, but I would be interested. And we went down and we did the off-road day with Mick Extons at the Harley school. And I was like, yes, I'm having one. So luckily enough, the guy that I deal with in there, do you know what I mean? It was me and him. And then there was a couple of other boys that had already bought plans that went. And on the way back, I just said to my man, I was like, if you can find me one that's no got ARH, has got cast wheels and is in Baja orange, I'll take it. And he went, I'll go on that as soon as I get back. And then it took about a week or so for him to find one. And then he found one, and he was like, aye, they've got one, and they're willing to ship it up. We just need to put it through an kind of extensive PDI and stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, right, I'll take it. Do you know what I mean? And honestly, when they brought the CVO out, I thought, I'm going to end up with a CVO. I just know I'm going to end up with a Pan America CVO. And then they brought it out, and I thought, good value for money. When you total up all the stuff that they've added, like the top box and the panniers, without the CVO logo, you mean the Harley stuff, it is SW Motec gear. It's just Harley branded. Aye. So there's a couple of grand right away. And then you add the other wee bits and bobs. Essentially, it was like 600 quid more than you buying a standard pan and just adding all those bits to it. And then adding some kind of CVO stickers on it. It was good value for money compared to some of the other CVOs that they do. But my problem was, it's like, I didn't quite like the look of it. And it was 298 kilos. For an adventure bike,
Jesus,
no,
that's heavy.
that's heavy.
That is heavy. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, whereas the standard pan's 254, which again, it's not the lightest out there, but it's still not too bad. Do you know what I mean? But that was it. And again, everyone makes a big thing about the headlight, but one, I didn't mind the headlight. It was a bit Mack truck. Do you know what I mean? It was very American looking. And you don't see it when you're sat on the bike. And then the first thing I did was go to that bike. I got the Dom Performance, and Dom Performance is a German company, and they do the performance on the bike, and that gives it a hike of about 20%, both in brake horsepower and in torque. You know what I mean? But in fairness, when we were obviously doing legal speeds on the road to the Alpgui Shin, I was side by side with you, and yours was still pulling in the old 1250. So it just shows you how much torque and power, even though they say it's only 100 and whatever, 36, I think was the old 1250.
Yeah, I think it's 136 or 138. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It still glows.
That's a capable bike. Yeah, for sure.
So that's how I ended up with it. Do you know what I mean? And again, I'm not to say I wouldn't buy another one, because I genuinely did like it. And the new 24 has got a new wiring loom. It's got a completely different battery. They've taken the battery out the soft tail, the old, you know what I mean, which is a reliable battery. You know what I mean? So they've ironed out a lot of those little tweaks, but it's what they do with the price, because Harley are notorious for bumping the price up. I think they've had 3 in the last 18 months, which is just no, because then you're into KTM money. You know what I mean? Or BMW money or Triumph money. It's just silly.
What's the Pan go for at the moment then?
I think the Pan America special at the minute, bog standard. Again, if you just pick a bog standard, I think black's the bog standard, vivid black. I think 17,295.
Jeez.
Whereas when I bought mine, I bought mine for 15,1. 15,1, and that was me getting it in Baja Orange, which was like an extra 400 or 500 quid. Do you know what I mean? So it was like a 14.5 grand bike if you bought a vivid black, and that was the special, which came with a centre stand and all the other bits and bobs you get with the special. I don't know why they even still make the standard one. Just get rid of it. You know what I mean? It's just silly. So, but yes, that's kind of what led me to the Pan. And again, good bike. I did, you know what I mean? It brought a little tear in my eye when the guys came to put it on the back of a flatbed and take it away. You know, that way you think, I've done the right thing here. Do you know what I mean? Just when they're taking it away. And then you take the new bike out and you go, oh, I've done the right thing here.
So come on, what's the new bike?
The new bike's the Street Glide ST, the Fast Johnny edition. So it's one of the enthusiast editions. So I think there's only 2,000 in the world, the Street Glide version.
So what made you move from the adventure bike style to the Street Glide then? Because they're radically different.
Oh, radically different. Do you know what I mean? And I think it was one of those ones. I think I was at that point where I'm going, for all the touring, but we're not doing off-roading and taking it even on trails, because one, you can't really do it in Scotland because there's not really anywhere great to do it. And then when we go away to do it, 9 times out of 10 we've got Iain with us, right? And for all the Speedmaster, we call it the Speedmaster X because we've taken some detours that we probably shouldn't have done on a Speedmaster, and in fairness, it's handled it. But it was like, right, let's never ever go on that type of road again. Okay. You know what I mean? So it was like, they really need an adventure bike. And then this one sat in the showroom for a couple of months because Harley just gave all the dealers one and went, there you go, you need to sell it. And nobody wanted to buy it. I think because the initial price was quite expensive. Do you know what I mean? And our local dealer got to the point where they went, let's just take 5 grand off it.
Jesus.
And I went,
Jesus.
And it still sat there. And I went to the chat with our guy, and I went, what's the residual value on that going to be? And he went, and he looked at it and he went, that's it there. And I went, wow, that's not losing a lot of money. And he went, no, because it's the enthusiast collection, because there's only a limited run of them, they hold their money. I was like, just out of curiosity, which would that be a month? And he went, About 20 quid more than what you're paying now. I went, oh,
Sold.
shit. And I went, I need to take one out for a test. I said, tell you what, the brand new Street Glides, can I get a wee run on the brand new one with the big 12.4 inch? Because I think that's stunning. And they had a white one in there that was all blacked out, so no chrome. Yes. And it looked like a stormtrooper bike. And I was like, and the white pearlescent is just phenomenal. And I took out their demo one. And see, after about 10 minutes, you don't really notice the 12.4 inch screen. I think it's just because you've become acclimatized to having nice dashboards. Do you know what I mean? You all know that.
Yeah.
Having a rake of, GS's. The GS screen is probably one of the best out there. It's just so crisp.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, the Harley, that new one they've got on the new Road Glide and Street Glide is beautiful. But see, after 20 minutes riding it, you don't really notice it. You just become acclimatized to being there. And if you plug your phone in and the Apple CarPlay comes on, you're not really getting the benefit out of
Taylor Swift and all that. Yeah.
Aye, do you know what I mean? It's no, I could play Taylor Swift out anything.
It wasn't Taylor Swift. What was it again?
But Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
Cyrus. Aye. Needless to say, that has now been moved from the whole library.
Not just that.
The whole library.
Don't be ashamed of it. There's nothing wrong. My wife loves Miley Cyrus.
Well, don't get me wrong. It's just that one song. Like she does a version of Edge of 17 with Stevie Nicks, which is phenomenal. Really good song. Anyway, we digress.
Something tells me Miley Cyrus is not off of his Spotify playlist.
Just part in the USA's off. Everything else is still there. All the other Miley classics are still in there. But the new Street Glide was quite nice. Do you know what I mean? It handled quite well actually. And then went back to the showroom and had a chat with the guys, and the guys were like, "But remember, that's the ST, so let's get different suspension on it." You know what I mean? The 117 in there, that's put it a little bit more oomph. Do you know what I mean? You'll find that handle even better. The rake's shorter on that. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And I went, do you know what? Bugger it. I'm young enough that I can still lift it up and move it about because it's a heavy old beast. So I might as well get it out of my system now. And then I can go back to something silly in a couple of years' time because it's only a 3-year deal. Do you know what I mean? So a couple of years' time, we can go back and pick something else out, get it out of my system just now. But honest to God, it's an absolute weapon. Well, you've ridden it. You're over it. But yours had the all-in suspension back.
Yeah, it did. I was pretty amazed by those Harleys. They were not. I think in my head I had this really agricultural, rudimentary, basic experience in my head. That's what it was going to be like, and to an extent, it was in that it's a real physical experience riding a Harley, isn't it? You know, like those 117 bikes. Like
it's a different type of riding.
They're living and breathing machines, aren't they? You get on them and they're like bum, 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 bum. But I loved it. I really, really enjoyed riding a Harley. Like it's like, oh, this makes sense. I see why people fall for these because they got character. Absolutely, they got character.
Oh, I
really enjoyed it.
I think the biggest thing I've noticed is obviously scrubbing the tyres in as you do, taking it nice and easy. And then finally got it out a few Saturdays ago when the weather was nice and I was like, right, I'm going out myself. Nobody else is coming with me. Tunes on, and I'm going to hit the proper twisties kind of in and about Ayrshire and kind of where we live in the Glasgow area. And there's some really good roads, some really technical roads as well, which is quite good that the IAM use and stuff like that. And there's usually never empty on. Aye, exactly. So I thought, right, I'm going to go out and hit these roads. So I plotted out a big, massive loop. And I'm going round bends and I'm going, God, I'm going dead slow. And then looks at my speedometer and went,
aye.
Yeah, I'm not actually going that slow. It's just because it's a big unit and it's just gliding around the corner. It feels slow. Whereas I think on any other bike going around a corner, it feels quite quick. But for some reason, had I not looked down, I would have swore I was going a lot slower than what I was. And then looked and went, shit.
Mate, I was like that on that Honda, is it the NT 1100?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I was really quite down on that bike. I've sort of felt guilty about it ever since because I had it, I filmed the ride on it, and I kind of came away from, you know, that first ride just like, it's not engaging. Just didn't do anything for me. Don't know what the fuss is on this. It's like, it was styled as like a 90s, noughties sort of bike. It kind of felt like 20 years too late for me. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I rode it, I think, 1 or 2 more times before it went back. But obviously, I hadn't edited that first ride vid yet. And the second and third times I rode it, it started tweaking something at me where I was just like, oh, actually, this is actually pretty damn rapid. Well, exactly what you said. You kind of get caught off guard when you look down and see the speedo, and you're like, Jesus, I didn't think I was doing that. So the bike went back to Honda, and then I edited that first ride vid. And obviously now I'm sat there and I can see the speed that I'm doing, because I don't look at my dash when I'm riding a bike. I'm reading the road up ahead and doing all that. So I'm not focused on what speed I'm doing. I just go by feel. And I was talking about how it doesn't really feel like it's got much punch and stuff. And then I look at the speed that I'm doing and it's like, holy shit, that's 20 above what I would normally do on other bikes and on these set roads that I ride down here. And you're like, Jesus Christ, I never thought I was doing that at all. So now I'm like, I kind of wish I could get hold of that bike again and,
and I tell you
see what it'll do.
They're gaining them away right now.
Aye, they are. It's a shame because it's a good bike.
I know. There's a big, massive deposit contribution thing that Honda are doing the minute on that bike. Aye. And you think about it, it's like, did yours have a DCT in it?
No, it's manual, I think.
Aye.
Yeah, it's manual. Yeah.
Aye.
See, I don't think I'd buy a DCT unless it was a Goldwing. I don't think I'd buy DCT.
I like having a clutch.
I've just done the e-clutch. I've just I did a vid
on the
last week. CBR e-clutch, yeah. And there's a vid going out tomorrow, which is like a Q&A on the e-clutch and the CBR 650. I put a thing on my socials just asking people for questions about it. So I've done like a Q&A on the e-clutch. I tell you what, I think it's actually a really good system. Would I have one myself? No, probably not, because I don't need it. But, say you've got some mobility issues with your clutch hand, or maybe you don't have a left hand or left arm or something like that. Why wouldn't you? It's really good. I was well impressed with it. It's nice, smooth gear change and stuff.
Before we jump onto that, I'll tell you a story. I was on a mental health first aiders course last week, right? And we were in the room, and there was a few of us there, obviously, for our work, and there was guys for our retail kind of section and stuff like that. And then one of the guys, unfortunately, had no hand on his left hand.
Should laugh. Yeah.
No, the second day, before you think about it, I'd said, right, we've been chatting with someone. I said, right, can we move on? Because this thing's growing arms and legs. And I never even thought about it. And it was like, but see now, I am so aware. Anytime anybody says that, I'm like looking about the room going, just making sure. Do you know what I mean? Just making sure. But going back to do you think this is the new craze? And I say craze, that's probably a wrong choice of words, but there's a lot of manufacturers. Ducati have announced they're looking at kind of clutchless or semi-automatic. I think Yamaha have got the new MT-09, is it AMT? I think it's coming with the clutches are kind of semi-automatic.
Don't know about that.
Obviously, Honda's been doing it for ages. It just seems to be a lot of people who are starting to talk.
BMW's bringing it out as well, aren't they?
BMW are bringing one out. Is this the new thing to offer up?
I really hope it's not going to become the norm, as in, bikes will come out with no clutch, because I like the visceral experience of working the clutch. Yes. It's nice to have the option. I do admit that. It is really, like, things like on that e-clutch, on Honda e-clutch, you can just pull to a stop. If you can't be arsed pulling the clutch, you can just pull to a stop in sixths and the bike won't stall. It just stops. And then, if you want to pull away in sixths, it'll do it. It's not happy about it. It's feathering in the clutch effectively automatically, but it'll let you pull away. Or you can just, stamp your way down through the box and pull away in first. It's no problem. I like the option to be a lazy bar steward if you want to be one. but I do prefer having the clutch. I use the quick shifter. I use the blipper all the time. I'll short change without a clutch anyway. If you're on it, you can short change without using the clutch.
Aye.
But
I hope it's not the norm. I know. I think last year when we were at NEC and we were looking at the new Africa Twin, and they were pretty much saying, yeah, it'll only come in DCT. Like the Adventure Sports was only going to come in DCT, and they weren't doing a manual. And then it was like 3 months later, it was like, no, actually, we're going to do a manual. And it's like, that's because probably folk kicked up an absolute shitstorm, because some folk don't like DCT and some folk just prefer a clutch.
Yeah.
I mean, but
so I wouldn't want
the norm.
I wouldn't want DCT if I was going to be taking that bike off road. No. I wouldn't want that. I would want the clutch. And I appreciate 99% of people aren't going to take it off road, but some people will. And at the end of the day, it's an adventure bike.
You do it. You know what I mean? Or as you say, if you're away on that bike to the Picos or something, and all of a sudden you find a wee dirt trail and go, God, I wonder what's down there. You've got the option to go down there with that fear of, will the DCT kick in? And there'll be folk out there that say, oh, I've got a DCT and I've taken off-road and it's fine. But for me, I think it'd be a confidence thing. Taking a bike
it's change, and we don't like change.
No.
And I don't like being told what to do either. Do you know what I mean? Like if manufacturers are going, no, we're only doing this in DCT or the E-clutch or the auto clutch or whatever the hell it's going to be, that's sort of forcing your hand, isn't it? And I don't. I'll push back against that. Yeah, I'll stamp my feet like a little spoiled kid and just be like, no, I'm going to go somewhere else then.
Are the rear discs made out of tinfoil? No, I'll take it.
I don't. That is going to be a fight. That is definitely going to be a fight. And I know there's a lot of people in the same boat because I've been asking around, and there's a lot of 1300 owners in the same boat. And I don't think that's acceptable at all to say, well, that's
just making something that's going to make you more money at the expense of the consumer.
Yeah.
Not good. That's not good for the brand.
Yeah, that's not addressing the issue and just coming out with some cock and bull as an explanation. That's all that is. Yeah.
Aye. Just don't break. That solves the problem. If you just don't break, it's fine. You'll get 12,000 miles with that.
As a double act, what's the best and worst feature of each other?
Best feature, I think, is when one is on a wee bit of a slump, maybe a bit tired or had a bit of a rough day, usually the other one's on the opposite, and that kind of picks us up a bit. Do you know what I mean? So it's good for that point of view. Do you know what I mean? It bounce off each other, especially if one is on a downward and one isn't he? The flip side to that, I think, and this is the worst bit, is sometimes we kind of annoy each other. Do you know what I mean? We were on tour. That was a baptism of fire. Do you know what I mean? Being on tour. And there's just wee niggly things that at the start of the day, do you know what I mean, we'd had a bit of a nightmare one morning by pumping a tyre up, which in fairness was a great idea until it went into practice, and then it became an absolute shit show. And then kind of for like the next half hour or so, it was quite quiet on the comms.
Aye.
We all just kind of recomposed ourselves, do you know what I mean? So we did get under each other's nerves a wee bit, and sometimes when we're both on it, do you know what I mean, in terms of we're both on a good day and up on a high, it's difficult to get conversation in. Because we want to talk at the top of each other, and we need to try and watch and kind of correct ourselves a wee bit so that we're taking time for one person to talk. Because Iain loves to gab and sing and perform. Do you know what I mean? Iain, I know you're probably listening, but you do like the limelight, big man. And I suppose that's the other thing as well, is you've got to have thick skin. If we're working together, you've really got to have thick skin. Do you know what I mean? But again, we know what lanes we're in. Do you know what I mean? Iain's definitely the creative one, especially when it comes to making videos and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I'm the guy that will go and do a bit of research and all that kind of stuff, and then make notes and then send Iain the notes to go, here is what you need to brush up on. So that when we get into the podcast, he's going to go an idea of stuff there. So it works quite well for us, do you know what I mean? But it's, touch wood, it might come a time where it doesn't, and then see what happens.
But it's like any normal relationship, though, isn't it? It's give and take, and as you said, you need to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You need to know each other's like foibles. You need to know about what ags the other person, what irks them, as well as you need to know, right, what's the sense of humor? What's the thing where you can just poke the fire a little bit, and really get them going, and that sort of stuff on a plus note.
Oh, the fuel thing. Do you know what I mean? Like day 5, it was starting to really annoy him. And then we kind of sat down with a pint of Guinness in a wee bar. That was actually, I'm pretty sure, was some guy's living room. He just converted into a bar. And, you know what I mean? But we sat there and he was like, and we literally just said to him, it was like, listen, we know you're taking stick, big man, about the petrol, but actually, it's, you know what I mean? It's not right. You know what I mean? It's a bit shitty. If you want us to lay off, just say so and we'll back off. And he went, no, it's fine. I was just having a bit of, because we kind of got caught in some heavy downpour at that point, when they're running into that wee town, that wee village that we stayed in. And I think everything had just kind of built up, and then he gets soaked. And he didn't stop to put his waterproofs on because he was like, okay, it'll last 5 minutes. No, it was like, I mean, at one point, you know, when I was riding with, you know, I mean, a sketch pad drawing designs for an arc, it was that heavy. Do you know what I mean? It's the one thing I'll say about Ireland. There's pockets, there's little microclimates all over the shop. Do you know what I mean? Aye. But again, West Coast side, you'll be fine because we followed a lot of Simon's routes. I bought Simon's routes for the Atlantic Way, and there's some crackers in there.
Yeah, we're doing that next year.
I think if you just, as long as you know what I mean, we just keep it real and just be honest. Do you know what I mean? And just say, you know what I mean, right, if I pushed it too far, do you want us to back off? You know what I mean? And we've not hit that point yet because he usually goes, no, it's fine, just crack on. Do you know what I mean? Even on the bad days, do you know what I mean? But I think me and Ian have known each other for a while because we worked at the same company for years. Do you know what I mean? Albeit didn't work in the same team, didn't work together a lot, but you know what I mean, knew each other quite well. And then having that on the work, we kind of created our own little kind of biker community within the work, made us all connect a bit better. So, you know what I mean, that helps. Do you know what I mean? It's not
you've got a great rapport between the two of you for sure.
If they listen to the last hour of this.
Aye. Andy also says, finally, what advice would you like to share with Bruce to encourage him to share the workload? Have a great chat, gents. Yeah. I'm a control freak. That's my biggest, that's probably my biggest downfall with all of this is kind of.
But it's your brand that's out there. And I hate, and again, I know you hate the thing, the influencer thing and all that, but essentially you're not doing this full time. So this is your brand that's out there and it's your reputation. So I get why you would be a bit of a control freak. I'm lucky enough that I've got Ian, and Ian's the creative guy. Ian's done editing and all that kind of stuff. He did it professionally, you know what I mean, as his second business and all that kind of stuff. So Ian, that's his world. I'll literally cut and paste what I think good content and get it into a place where I can hand it to Ian and go, right, I've cut all that up. There you go. You go and sprinkle stardust and do whatever you do over the top of that and do all the graft and all the After Effects and all that nonsense. Crack on, mate. But there'll be days where, you know, I mean, it's like, right, Ian, is your workload cleared yet? Because I've still got a couple of days or a couple of things we want to edit and get put out, and or there'll be little snippets that we've done, maybe like wee reviews. We've been in at a dealership and he's captured all the footage. He'll just take it away and he'll get it done just for the sake of getting it out there, which is quite good for that point of view. So I understand why you've got control issues, but I don't have that because I've got Ian and let him deal with it. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, if you put something up in the shit, I'm the first one to go, I didn't do that.
I think my biggest issue for the last year or two is I've been a bit lost with the channel in that I've not really known what I wanted the channel to be, which has a knock-on effect, because if you don't know what you want the channel to be, what do you film? You know, what content are you actually creating? And I've just sort of fallen into the old default setting of what it's always been, of just being out on a bike, talking pish, recording. But that's kind of not. it's got to be part of the channel, because that is part of me. That is part of the brand. That's part of what's got me to where I am. But there's other stuff that I want to do, and I kind of like I kind of feel like I've not got enough time. I've got such a backlog of content that I feel like I can't focus on what the new stuff that I want to do, because it's different. So I'm just worried about what I've still got. So therefore, every time I'm out on a bike, every time I switch the cameras on, I'm falling back into that old default setting of just talking piss and recording. So you never really get to that stage where you can go, right, this is the new direction I want to take things, because you're constantly producing the same baseline content that you can only really do certain things with. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. And it's again, everybody's doing a lot of the same things, like bike reviews score, or any kind of review, actually, bike or gear reviews score well on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody looks at them. But the problem is everybody's doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? There's the new 1300 when it came out. Right? Again, no pick on your bike, but the 1300 came out, and it was quite a radical shift because the headlight had changed. This had changed. It was lighter here and slimmer there, stuff like that. And within like an hour of it being done, there's umpteen videos for umpteen of your usual kind of, Yami noobs and all these people that have got all
most
that.
of them never ridden the feckin' bike. That's what really winds me up.
But it's the same stock footage on all those videos. And you're thinking, right, how are these videos still doing well? Because all you're doing is listening to somebody telling you the same pish that you just listened to somebody else say. That to me is no, it's just, I think, again, it's for you, you're going to need to draw a line in the sand and then get the channel to what you want it to be. But that's difficult. You've been doing the same thing for a number of years.
Yeah.
And obviously it's your income, it's your lifeline, it's your job. Do you know what I mean? Job for
but I'm very, very fortuitous in that I don't make my money from YouTube. You know, I make 400 to 600 quid a month off of YouTube, off of ad revenue. So it's, you know, it pays the fuel bill on a big month. But I make my money from Patreon and tours now, basically. So they are what keep the mortgage paid and allow me to do this full time. So even the tours have sort of taken over from channel sponsorships. I used to have 5 channel sponsors. I've only got the 2 now. I've got Harley and Canary. And part of me kind of thinks, you know, they've been with me for quite a few years, so I wouldn't be surprised if even they moved on at some point. But I'm at a point whereby the tour income and the Patreon income, that can swallow that. So I'm never actually advancing. You know, I'm never earning more. No. I'll just be at that same baseline that allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm very privileged, I think, in that I am in a position where I can potentially take a few risks with what I do with the content. But you know, all it takes is for people not come on the tours, or people to decide, I don't actually like what he's producing anymore, and then they just leave the clan on Patreon, and then you're like,
But I think we had this conversation before, and you'd said, obviously, because remember, I did the Flying Scotsman with you guys, and it was like, why have you never done these roads before? A lot of those roads, especially up north, you know what I mean, not on a bike anyway, you know what I mean? And it was like, but I could have took the time and effort and the ball ache that is organising a tour, right? And I did it for the Island tour this year. I says to the guys, leave it with me. I'll try and get within this budget, blah, 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 and I'll plot the roads, yada, and I'll get and did all that. I have a newfound appreciation for the effort that goes into that. And it's a ball ache, right? So actually just paying you the money to go and do it and meet all different people, and the fact that there's 15 and all that, there's a good mix of people and stuff like that on it. That to me is a no-brainer. I would rather pay that bit extra to deal with that, especially if it's somewhat that you go, you've seen it before, people have done it, people have commented and said that kind of stuff. To me, that's a no-brainer. So I wouldn't be concerned over the chicken strip side of stuff, but it's just I mean, that is back to that original point. Can you make that work with whatever it is you want to do on YouTube? So that you're editing less or B, filming less and editing, you know what I mean, what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because like the tours, people are signing up for effectively a record of their tour, aren't they? You know, they want those videos of their tour. So you still have to do that.
See, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more about enjoying the ride and then obviously getting out with you and Simon. It's primarily, you know, I know that's what I wasn't bothered about having a record of the tour because I knew I was going to take my own camera. And a lot of bikers now have their own camera.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and even at that, there's stuff you look back on and you go, oh, I remember that. And then there's bits you go, oh, don't remember that. We passed straight through there. We must have been going at legal speeds through there. So again, it's a tough one. Do you know what I mean? I would love to be in that position where all I did was just do tours all the time. That would make me happy as a pig and shit. It's just taking people out on tours and just showing them, even if it was the same tour all the time, I'd be delighted. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that you go and get to do some weird and wonderful ones is quite interesting.
Well, we have to keep it, we want to keep it exciting for us as well. And we also, like, we are constantly tweaking our tours. You know, we have a couple of staple ones now. Flying Scotsman, that's a staple one that we do. But again, we're tweaking it as we go. We tweak the coffee stops. Sometimes we tweak the hotel. Maybe we think maybe we should have a night stay here rather than
coffee
there.
stops open, you mean?
Well, honestly, this year's a lot better. Scotland finally seems to be opening up again. Yeah, Jesus. But yeah, we're developing quite a nice little core group of tours. But then it also allows us, you know, next year we're pushing a few different places next year, and that keeps it exciting for us as well, because otherwise it does become a little bit monotonous. You know,
if people are wanting to be out on tour with you and Simon and get the banter with you and Simon with Simon. It's if
turning left here,
turning left back there. If you guys are in that monotonous, you're not going to be in your A game, which makes it, you know what I mean, or you usually have to force it, you know what I mean, which then comes across, do you know what I mean? So, and again, there's probably an argument that if you're doing a Flying Scotsman every single year and filming it every single year, your YouTube hit's going to be that great anyway. They're probably going to, because folk are going to go,
my thought.
I've seen it.
That's
Unless
exactly
you're watching it to go, where did he go different this year? Oh, he didn't do the Skyfall Road this year. Oh, he actually got to Aldermurton Point because it wasn't pushing the rain. Oh, do you know what I mean?
That's exactly my point, is that how do you make these videos interesting for those that have already... But then, you know, I do the Picos I did the Picos every single year, the same routes every year. I did a series every year and did that for about 4 years before COVID hit. And they all did well. You know, those series did well. I think a lot of it's to do with the group that's there as well. You get different dynamics, don't you?
Aye. Well, apart from the 6 folk that usually book every single tour every year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Maybe there's a series there. How to plan a tour series.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like that.
You can have that for free, mate. It's fine.
Thank you. Cheers, Dan. Thanks very much. Right, cheers, Andy. Thanks for that question. Chris Kemp, I think we've pretty much answered this one. I was about to ask a bike-related question, but got distracted by the ice hockey kit on the wall. Do you play? What's your favourite hockey movie? And if you had a beer league team, what would you call it? The best I've heard so far is the Sobel Slappers.
Sobel Slappers? No, I don't play. Cannot skate worth a toffee. I'm one of these guys that hods the boards and, do you know what I mean, goes round. So no, don't do that. Favourite ice hockey movie? There's a movie in the 70s called Slapshot, which was quite a good movie. But again, being an 80s kid, struggle to see by Youngblood.
Yes, Rob Lowe. Brilliant.
Struggle to see past that, although Goon's quite good. If you've ever seen Goon, it's about it's that him that was in American Pie, Sean thingy, him with double barrel name, him anyway. But he's essentially just a big goon.
Stifler.
Aye, Stifler, that's the fella. He's just essentially a big goon. He just literally punches folk and fights with folk, and it's quite funny. But I'd go with Youngblood. I think that's again being a Gen Xer and an 80s kid.
Youngblood was I think one of the greatest movies ever. Loved it.
Oh,
there's shagging in it. There's fighting in it. There's sport. It's great.
Some cunt dies. It's got everything, man. It's absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And aye. Youngblood for me.
Beer League team.
Beer League team. I don't know. That's a hard one. That would need some serious thinking. There's a beer league team in Canada that I bought merch for. It'll be here in summer, and they're called the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. And I've got a hat with a big pigeon on it, and it says Rain City Bitch Pigeons. I thought that's quite good, given the fact that we live where we live, and it's absolutely fucking torrential most of the time. So, that's probably the best one I've heard, is the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. I'll find that hat, someone picks up in the socials. I don't know about mine, man. It would need to be, I like the slappers idea. I need to think about that one. That's a good question.
Have to be ball bags. Have to be something ball bags.
Something,
spray head ball bags.
Something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or something like the deek heads or something like that.
You're from Ayrshire, aren't you?
I'm from Ayrshire originally, aye.
Ayrshire arseholes. There you go. Bosh.
Aye. They had a team called Ayrshire Arseholes, I'm sure.
Arsehole.
Aye. Oh. Aye. I need to come back to that one. That's a tricky question.
Right. Debbie Clegg. How you doing, Debbie? Our question, if you could return through time and have a more positive effect on yourself or friends that maybe struggle. Oh, hang on. What would you change about the way you were educated at school if you could return through time and have a more positive effect on yourself or friends that maybe struggled?
At school, I think I'd just give myself a kick up the arse and actually say to myself, go and train for something you want to do, not into chasing the money. Yes. Actually go and do something you want to do. Because I think if you've got a job you want to do, you never work a day in your life. Is that not a saying? Do you know what I mean?
That is a saying. That is a saying.
And also
for someone who's living the dream, I'm doing what I want to do. It's still every bit as stressful. But the difference is, I think the difference for me is I'm aware of the more graft I put in, the more of a reward I'm going to get in every sense of the word, because it's my business. You know, it's me at the end of the day. I'm not working for someone else.
And it must be easier to put the graft in because it's something you enjoy doing. Do you know what I mean?
It is, yeah. But it also becomes the highs are really high and the lows are really low, because when you feel like you're putting loads of graft in, loads of effort in, and nothing seems to be going right, like views are going down and engagement drops, you're not getting big subs, and then you look at other people within the industry, within this niche, and you look at what they're doing, you just think, how are you getting such big views, and how are you getting such, you're like,
that video shit. How are you managing that?
Am I shit? Am I shit? Is that what it is? And you do. I think that is part of social media, is it does make you very, very aware and critical of yourself, and I think that little demon can eat you, and you have to not let that happen.
I couldn't do school now with the level of social media that's out there.
Oh, mate.
Do you know what I mean? Absolutely no chance.
How hard must it be for those kids? There's no escape, is there? No escape.
However, if I did go back and give myself a kick up the butt and tell myself to actually stick in and do, you know what I mean? The also thing I would say is, once you pass your driving test at 17, immediately go out and do a bike test, which I didn't do, and I should have done.
Yeah.
Because that's that hindsight. You go, the fun we could have had back then.
I get asked this kind of question quite a lot on this podcast, and I kind of think I'm happy. I'm happy with how life went and turned out, because it's put me down the path that's made me do what I've done and experience what I've experienced. And even even the bad times in life, you learn things from them. You know what I mean? They eventually, at some point, you can look back on those experiences and realize, okay, well, that's taught me this, or it's taught me that, or you look back and go, well, that was a fucking hard time, and I got through that, so I can get through this. You know what I mean?
Aye,
Does that make sense?
It's that butterfly effect thing. If you went back and told yourself or changed one thing, you might not be at the point you're at now. It might be worse, it might be better. You just don't know. So I am with you. I mean, what's for you will not go by you, as my granddad used to say.
100%. That's exactly. I believe in that. And I had a really good childhood and a really good upbringing. I can't complain about any of that. I lived in a nice house. My mum and dad were together, and I felt loved. And we essentially got what we wanted or deserved, I suppose. I think we were spoilt to an extent, but not overly spoilt. We had a good. I had a good childhood. I don't look back and go, I wasn't battered, I wasn't neglected. I've got no complaints about my childhood, and I stuck in at school. I worked really hard at school. I did well at school. It's kind of when I got to uni, I sort of took my foot off the gas. I went from being that sort of straight A student, got myself to uni, and then just kind of went, right, beer and woman, let's have it. And then that was it. Just never really bothered going back to uni. And but then, those life experiences sent me down various courses that sent me to London and joined the Old Bill. And the Old Bill taught me a lot, and I experienced highs and lows in the Old Bill. And Mum passing away taught me loads, and I got loads from Mum. She gave me the live your life and the promise I made her, and that sent me on the path. Exactly. That sent me down this path now. So it's like, I can't complain about any of that at all. But
it got you to where you are today. Do you know what I mean?
The interesting bit from Debbie there, a more positive effect on yourself or friends that maybe struggled. I wasn't aware of anyone growing up that was struggling. You know what I mean? Like the way people struggle these days. I wasn't aware of anyone doing that then, because I think I was very self-obsessed. I was in my rugby, so I was just focused on rugby in those days.
I think the only thing is just probably learning younger. Just don't give a shit about what folk think, because it's redundant. It makes no difference. It's going to have no bearing on what you decide to do, so ignore it. Do you know what I mean? Just don't. And there was a lot of people, a lot of people I remember were so obsessed with what other people thought of them.
Right.
Certain groups were obsessed with how other groups thought of them and viewed them, and it's like, you don't need that. That's not a life skill. That's not a life skill you need. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just so not a life skill you need. And that's why I think nowadays with social media, it must be fucking treacherous. It must be so treacherous. It's a minefield. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like you. We never wanted for anything. You know what I mean? We got what we deserved. Do you know what I mean? We got leather if we were misbehaved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the days where you could smack your children without being chastised for it. But again, it was just a different time. I mean, the old paedophiles weren't a thing. Do you know what I mean?
They were just called priests. Oh, sorry, that's unfair.
They were just called Uncle Bob.
Uncle Uncle Jim.
Uncle Jim.
Uncle Gary's coming round.
He just went out and played. Yeah, literally went out and played football, or do you know what I mean? You got sticks and just beat each other to death with them. Do you know what I mean? That was just a thing.
I chatted about that on this podcast. When I was like 8, 9, 10 years of age, my dad worked abroad, so my dad was away for months at a time, and my mum had work, so my mum would go out to work, and in school holidays, you just got up, fed yourself. I had an green army jumper. I used to chuck that on, air rifle, tin of pellets. Off I went at like 10. That's you for the day. Air rifle, pellets, off out into the fields and the woods.
Come back in with the street lights. Come on. No bother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Come home about 5, 6 o'clock. Have your dinner. Yeah. You're just feral, weren't you? You were just like, I used to shoot the like the bin lorries, as they went by in the country, we'd shoot them from the hedge and all this ding as it went by. Imagine that now. Jesus, you'd have a SWAT team on you.
Could you imagine going back and saying to yourself, do you know what I mean, at age 10, by the way, you shouldn't be shooting any bin lorries, do you know what I mean? That'll take you down a dark path. You get shot in the face. Shut up.
Shut it, fatty.
Aye. Any bother.
That's an interesting question, that, Davey. Yeah, I think if I'd had more beer, I would definitely be really looking at that, about how your attitude affects your friends and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, because I'm very conscious of that these days. I
think it'd be interesting to hear Debbie's response to that. Do you know what I mean? Sounds like there's trauma going on there.
Aye, yeah. I'm very conscious of that these days. Like, I don't know. People seem to reach out a lot, and they tell you about things that they're going through. Do you know what I mean? Like when people are struggling. I don't know. I seem to get a lot of that.
But that's the time and thingy that we live in, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I suppose it's not a bad thing, because we grew up in a time where, especially men didn't talk about things that were going on with men. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't a thing. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that there is a lot more of that going on now, and it's more acceptable, and it's actually seen to be healthy, which it is, I think it's only a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I do think, can you imagine bottling a lot of stuff up? That would be, you know what I mean? That would be, I'd end up I'd end up with one of the fancy jackets that fastens at the back. Do you know what I mean? Try this on for size on. Thanks very much.
One size fits all.
Exactly.
Aye, definitely. Right, last one from Patreon on the clan. Charlie Callard. How you doing, Charlie? Evening, gentlemen. Hope you're all well. So a couple of questions. If money were no object, where in the world would you have 3 holiday homes for the best biking breaks? Oh. Best biking breaks.
I think I'd have one on the west coast of America, just to do the Pacific Highway whenever I felt like it.
Right.
I think I would have one in Norway for that 2 months of the year where you can actually ride in Norway and it's no fucking snowing. Purely because I think it's like Scotland on drugs. Don't know. Kind of torn somewhere in kind of Italy, because then you've got the kind of gateway to the rest of Europe.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some kind of mid to northern Italy, because then you can literally head down to Monaco, run that way. You could go up into Switzerland and the Alps, or you could go south and go into the Amalfi Coast. Or am I overthinking that?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to think, right, best places in the world to ride. Spain. Alpine region. Ooh. Then one more. Where else? You know, there's some cracking places in Thailand to ride. Bikes, I mean, obviously.
Took a while, but we got there.
But then South America's got some amazing roads. America's got some amazing roads. Right, I'm gonna go at it from a base point of view. So from this base, you're then able to go to a variety of places. So I'll have one place in Appalachia, North Carolina. So right in the far west of North Carolina, Virginia, that sort of neck of the woods. Somewhere there. That'll allow me to explore basically I can do all of America and up into Canada from there. In fact, from there I can even do Central and South America. Yeah. It gives you that option. I'll do one based somewhere like Grasse, southeast France, bottom of Route Napoleon. Because from there, you can play up that eastern border of France. So you've got Germany, you've got Switzerland just to the west, and then you've got northern Italy, you've got Austria, you can have Germany. In fact, from there, you can do all up into Scandinavia as well, or you can hang west and go across into Spain. And then I would put one. I would put one in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, because from there you can do basically all of Thailand, bit of Laos, into Myanmar. Gosh, there you go. There you go. That's my 3.
Question is, what bike would you have if you only had one bike at those places?
It would have to be an adventure bike.
Now you can have one different bike in each location.
Okay. Still have to be an adventure bike because I'd be looking at doing predominantly road, but occasionally maybe a wee bit of trail riding here and there. Plus, I like the practicality of the adventure bikes where you can just have the panniers and the top box, chuck loads of kit on there, boff, job done.
Aye.
I mean, adventure bikes like you do, modern adventure bikes.
There's no bad one, is there?
No, but I mean, unless you're talking extreme high triple digit speeds, what else do you need? What else do you need? Do you know what I mean? The GS, the Pan America, the GS, the KTM Super Adventure S, or the V4 Ducati, all of those adventure bikes, even the Triumph, all of them are quite capable of rapid performance on the road, aren't they?
Yep.
They're all capable of amazing performance.
And they'll handle trails and no bother.
Exactly. So what else do you need? You know, unless you want to be going kind of 130, 40, 50, 60, 70 mile an hour. Well, I mean, the KTM will do that anyway, but I mean, do you need to? No. So, I don't anyway for my riding. So, yeah, I would just take an adventure bike.
One different adventure bike in each place.
Aye. Yeah. I couldn't tell you which one for where though, but I would have the KTM, I'd have the Ducati, and I'd have the GS.
There you go.
One in each bit.
Happy days.
Yeah. That's for me.
I think having one in Norway, I think we need an adventure bike.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. Maybe
a Skidoo.
I'd be inclined to lean towards that Ducati. Do you know what I mean? Because the V4 is just it's aye. Why did I not buy one of them instead of buying a couple of names? For Italy, I don't know whether it goes something a bit more like an M1000 XR or something like that. But then the problem with that is if you go north into Switzerland and you get caught, it's expensive. Get caught speeding. It can be expensive. Yeah. However, just don't get caught.
Yeah, I've been to Switzerland a few times. I kind of think if you get done for speeding, it's sort of your own fault there because you're blatantly speeding in the sort of straighter bits, so you know that they're going to hammer you for speeding. So just enjoy the twists. Do you know what I mean? Try and go quick in the twists, and then just relax in the straight bits and just chill. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've got away with it. It'd be different if I. Yeah, exactly.
And based out in the west coast of America, I would just buy something stupid like a big Harley again.
Something like the bike that you've got.
Aye. Well, it wouldn't even need to be that performance. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Just something like a big CVO, big road glide CVO or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just got oodles of comfort and can go forever in a straight line. Do you know what I mean? And can handle the occasional mountain wood, do you know what I mean? In and up in the kind of top half of California.
Gotcha.
Where it's sunny all the time. That's it. I'm going to simplify this question. Where would you have a house? anywhere that's damn sunny all year round.
Would you though? Would you want that?
Aye.
I like seasons.
No.
You've had enough.
I like seasons, bike season. Usually when it's sunny, till like 8 o'clock at night. Thanks very much.
Yeah. You can tell you live up in Scotland and I live down here in the southeast, because down here it's just like, it's either hot and humid, hot and dry, or it's humid and wet. One or the other. It seems to be down here. We don't really seem to get a winter anymore.
I was in Reading last week for a couple of days, and on the Monday it was 34 degrees.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
And when I went back up, they just got the tail of that in hurricane, tornado, storm thing that had passed across the island, and it was like, it's biblical. Me and the Waynes have started to build an ark out of Lego. That's how bad it was. Tuesday was all right apparently, but it was like 34 degrees. We were coming out of the wee training room that was all air conditioned, and opened the door to go outside, and it was like, Jesus, that company.
Well, I just did the Scotland tour up there, didn't I? The Beyond 500. We had 2 days of lovely weather, and then it was just like,
I saw that
down the rain.
You'd put a picture up on social a couple of days ago at the top of the Black Nabara, I drove across, and you literally saw the first hairpin, and you couldn't see anything. It was just cloud, and it was like, wow.
But that's a lot of the time. That's what that road's like, though, isn't it?
Well, the year before when we went up it, we absolutely nailed it because it was crystal clear. It was like you couldn't have paid for that to be any better. When we did Ireland this year, we did a road called Connor Pass, right? And it's in County Kerry, and I'm sure it's in County Kerry. Simon might tell me different, but we were heading along, and it had been raining that morning, so we left a little bit early. We cut, saying like we did with Arton Point, we had the most westerly point picked out, and we went, right, we're not going to go there because you're not going to see anything because it's quite low cloud and it's raining. Let's just hang on in the hotel, get a breakfast, chill out, and then we'll leave that wee bit early and we'll just cut that bit out. And we're heading on the road, and it was starting to clear up, and we thought, this is good, it's starting to clear up, we want to watch here. And then we looked across at this mountain, hill, whatever they call it in Ireland, and it was just, the cloud was still down. And Danny on the comms said to me, Christ, I hope that's not where we're going. And I went, no, we're not going up there. And then as we came at the bottom of that hill, it went, turn right. And I went, fuck, we're going up that. And my first instinct was, better put the cameras on.
Yeah.
Like, this'll make for good content, put the cameras on quick. And we were up in, and I swear to God, couldn't see a foot in front of you. And then it wasn't until we got kind of halfway across, there's a little parking bay, and we pulled in, and there's like a waterfall, and Danny pulled up right in front of this waterfall, and I was like, stop there, click, picture, thanks very much. And then we turned the other way, and it had cleared, the cloud had just instantly lifted, and it was like a fucking 300-foot drop.
Jesus.
And we were along this thing going, what the fuck is that? And it was like single track with passing places and stuff. It was mental. It was mental.
I just don't. I don't envisage Ireland with scenery like that. And then I see pictures of it, and you're like, oh my God, this looks amazing.
Oh, aye. The best road we did actually, there's loads of, that road that we do when you come off the Black Nabbar and you head towards Argouche, there's that great little stretch of road where you can you can really have some fun. Aye. There's a few of those big stretches, do you know what I mean, that literally pass along. You get mountain on one side and a big loch or lake or whatever they call them on the other side, but they go for miles and miles and miles. Honestly, you have so much fun in Ireland. The roads are amazing. But then you get the Haley Pass, and the Haley Pass, the day we did it was I think it was a Monday, Tuesday. There was not a single car on that road.
Really?
And again, it's about 7 mile stretch, and it's literally, it's just twist all the way up the hill. And then you get to the top, and then there was guys up the top on, one guy had a Triumph Speed Triple. He just turned around and came all the way back down again. And Ian went, I'm putting the drone up. I'm just going to film this guy, save us doing it. And he popped the drone up and just followed him with the drone all the way back down.
Awesome.
never saw a car. The only car we saw actually coming up there was an old Porsche 911 Carrera, and it was coming up the hill, and it was just and he was doing the same thing we were doing. It was just a phenomenal twisty road. I mean, but it was again that kind of, there's a lot of little switchbacks and stuff on it. But it came out of nowhere. It was like, the fuck is this? Where's this comfy? But yes, Ireland's brilliant.
Well, we're obviously doing it next year with chicken strips, but I want to do it myself. I said I had Dave Perry on from Wheelie Good TV a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of just chucked it in and said, I'll come over and see you before the end of this year. And it's like, whoa. But then, you're talking November in Ireland. We'll see.
So we were going to meet up with Dave when we were there, and then he got called away with work, because he can be called away at a minute's notice. So I had a chance to catch up with him. So, but
that's good, lad.
An excuse to go back. Do you know what I mean? But there's loads of roads we still didn't get today. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, I'm very aware of the time, but we have 2 more questions on Instagram. Do you fancy hammering them? So cheers, Charlie. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much to everyone in the clan over on Patreon. Cheers for that. So this is Instagram at TeapotOne Insta, and obviously I'll leave the Average Bikers in a Cave social links down below as well. Make sure you give them a like and a follow. So BC Insta 01, congrats on upcoming 50th podcast episode, boys. One of the best next to Brew Time. Thank you very much. My question, when and how did you get the motorcycle bug? Keep up the excellent content.
Oh, I couldn't comment for Ian. I think Ian always had it burning there. And then when he got to that age, because Ian passed his test quite young and then had a big long break. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's like kids come along and you take less risk until they're that wee bit older, and then you put your stupid hat back on. And that's kind of, I think, what Ian had done with John. And it wasn't until John got to that point where John went, Dad used to go on a motorbike, and he was like, aye. He says, and one day I'll go back on a motorbike. And John went, right, come on, I'll buy one. And John, luckily enough, was in a position where John could just do that and bought me Street Cup, and that put him back on the bike. For me, there was little bits, little moments. I think the first time there was a neighbour across the road to where we lived, again, go back to childhood, who had an old bike. I can't even tell you what it was, but it was just like, it just looked amazing, and it was like, oh my God. But then you turn 17 and your instant thought is I need to get my car license, because everybody's hanging about in cars and everybody's driving and cruising about in cars and like Fast and Furious here, sir. Jesus. Do you know what I mean? And Peugeot and Peugeot 205s.
Nova SRIs.
Nova SRIs and Fiat Unos and all that nonsense. And then you the one rich prick who turned up in like a Lancia HF Turbo. Do you know what I mean? But didn't know how to drive the fucking thing. So it never really, it'd always kind of been there, but it wasn't until pretty much just similar to you. It was Charlie Boorman. I'm blaming Charlie Boorman. And we met him a few years ago at the Adventure Day thing at Harley. And pretty much told him, by the way, you owe me thousands, by the way, because if anyone you, I wouldn't have been, you know what I mean? And I think me and Charlie share the same birthday. He's 10 years older than me, but we share the same birthday. And I think I had kind of started learning a bit more about him. But the minute him and Ewan went in across and did the long way round, it was like, God, that looks like fun.
Yeah, that's what
it looks like fun. And then it was like, and then I started hitting. By that point, I was married, and my father-in-law and his brother were both bikers. So there was always bikes kicking about, because her dad's really, really clever from that sense. He would take a bike and strip it and rebuild it. And he would constantly have his mates going, oh, I bought this and the wiring's all of shit. And he would literally just redo the whole wiring loom. He was really he worked for the Rolls Royce. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of tells you a lot about him. But so there was always bikes about, but it was Ewan and Charlie. Ewan and Charlie was like, no, I need to do that. And then it took me a good couple of years at nipping my wife's head, because my kids were still relatively young. And she was like, oh, you're not too dangerous. And I'm going, but your fucking dad and your uncle ride them. And they're still here. No, but you're an idiot. You're just, no, don't bother, you know. And eventually she caved in and went, "Oh, do you know what? Just go and do it." And I was like, "Oh!" Straight at the door. There's a shape of me in the door as I went straight. You know what I mean?
The Acme thing, yeah.
Aye, and then did it, and I was like, right, I'm going to buy a bike. And I hadn't even done my DAS. I just did my CBT and went, right, I'm going to buy a 125. Like total impulsive. Went and bought a Yamaha 125, and the wife drove me down to get it, and I drove it back up, and she followed me. And the minute we got into drive, she went, "That looks like so much fun." And I went, "It's amazing." She went, "I'm going to go do mine." I was like, "You fucking bitch." It's my thing.
It's my thing. Yeah.
No thinking at that point, well, actually, if she gets a bike, I can get insured, and that means I've got access to at least 2 bikes. So, which is kind of the case, do you know what I mean? Because she'll not ride my bike because either it's too tall or it's too heavy. Whereas I'll quite happily ride her Ninja 1000, and it's just an absolute weapon.
Yeah.
Some days I'll go, "You've not been out on that bike in about a week. That needs ticked to her. I'll just take it to work."
It's bad for it mechanically if you don't ride it.
Totally. That's exactly it. I'm glad you backed me up there, mate. Thanks for that.
Absolutely.
I'll just say, Bruce said it totally agrees, and he's like an engineer and shit. So it's just I ride her bike into work, and it's like 20 minutes to get to work, even in the worst of traffic, because it just zips through the traffic. And I get to work and I'm sweating, just giggling.
Yeah.
Sweat's lashing out because I just giggle the whole way because it's just an absolute weapon, that thing. Do you know what I mean?
What keeps you in biking then? What's the bug that keeps you in it?
For me, it's the mental health part. Do you know what I mean? See, going out on a bike, even if it's just for an hour, it's the worst thing about COVID, right? Because we were 5 days a week in the office. Every now and again, you could get away with a cheeky day working for him and stuff like that. And that ride in and ride out in the morning is just enough for you to clear your head.
Aye.
And if I get to that point where I've maybe not ridden for a few days, and there's a thing on social media, and I think it's Keanu Reeves, who says, if I don't ride, I get withdrawal. And for me, it's that, see, if you've not ridden for a couple of days, my brain starts to get heavy. It starts to overload. And that's just because I've got a lot of stuff going on at work.
Same with you.
And obviously try to make time to write the podcast as well as watch and chill out and enjoy the things I do. And it's just, see, even just an hour, even if it's just a Saturday, just take a run for an hour and just clear the mind.
Yeah.
It's so... And then the problem there is you go for a ride for an hour and then you're away up for about 3 or 4. Do you know what I mean? Because you go, I could turn here and go, I wonder where that road goes, woof, and then you're off again. And it's just, those kind of things just, you know what I mean? It's just the mental health side is phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? I think it just clears the brain. I think everybody should do it. Do you know what I mean? And plus, it's just quicker to get anywhere.
Well, it always feels quicker, doesn't it? For sure. But then once you factor in all the faff at the start and the end, putting all the kit on and all that sort of malarkey. The days of old, I just used to, you just go out, you chuck your boots on, your gloves, your helmet, off you go. Now it's boots, helmet, gloves, air vest, where's my cameras, set the cameras up, sat nav, get a route sorted out, get my comms all thingied up. Now we're ready to go.
But do you never ever just leave the house without the sat nav, because it's on your phone, so you always get your phone on you, but do you never just leave the house and go, right, what way am I going, left or right? And then just make that impulsive decision?
Very, very, very rarely now do I ever get to ride a bike just to ride a bike. I'm always riding for a reason. I'm filming something, I'm going somewhere, I'm touring. It was a big thing about this year with the America trip. Because that's the first time in so long that it was just me and a bike and the road with no plan, and I fucking loved it. It was so, I'm editing the last couple of episodes of that series now because I've still got them to go, and I'm sat here looking at it and just like smiling because I'm like, I remember what that felt like. I remember how good that was. Just to be, it's like how it was, just open road, no plan, freedom. And so I vowed to myself every year, I'm going to make sure I do that. I have even if it's a couple of days. I'm just gonna.
You think about it. If you were in your if you were in your normal, if you were doing a normal job, even back in the old bill, if you were back in the old bill, right, doing the weird shifts that you did in the old bill, you would still have time during the summer to go, right, I'm taking a fortnight's holiday and me and the missus are going to get away for a week and then I'm going to have a week going away in a bike, or, you know what I mean? You would make that time. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be any different. Just the fact that you're doing your own thing. And I think it's just one of the things. And I think once you've, it's the folk say, oh, biking, you know what I mean? It's when you get into biking, folk go, you try and convince yourself that biking's not expensive. Biking's fucking stupidly expensive.
It is.
But by that point, you don't care.
It's got you by now. It's got you.
Just the absolute joy it gives you. Do you know what I mean? Is the, you know, and that's the thing that keeps me going. It's just pure joy, and it's just total detachment, because you're singing in your helmet or you're focusing so much on the road that you don't have time to think about anything else.
Yeah,
it's just brilliant. Whereas I drove to Reading. When was it? July. I was going down to see my dad, spend a couple of days down at my old man's. He's down near Southampton, and I thought I'll work 4 days for your Reading office, and I'll just take the bike down. And I'd said this to Danny. I'd reached out to Danny. I went, listen, how did you find the ride up for like Swindon? And he was like, it's fine. Just head down, arse up, get the miles in. And I went, all right, because I know driving that road, I hate it. Right, because it's so boring. See, on the bike, it went past like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you forget just how much you're so engaged in everything else that you're no dozing off. I don't mean that literally dozing off. I know you've done it a couple of times, but you're no in autopilot.
No, you haven't got the luxury. Like in a car, you can all I mean, you shouldn't, obviously, but you can almost switch off in a car, can't you? You know, it's just, but on a bike, you're thinking of, because everything out there can kill you. So just like that. So you're concentrating all the time. But on top of that, you're smelling everything. You feel it as the air temperature changes, or the wind increases or decreases, or the moisture in the air changes. You feel it all, don't you? You experience it.
Yeah, honestly, I got on the bike, set off, and I was like, right, music on, here we go. Both little screen up in the non-blast position. Right, let's go, get some miles in. And before you know it, you're at TB Services. Again, one of the best services on the M6.
It is, isn't it? Yes, independent.
Aye, it's extortionate, but it's the best.
Fantastic farm shop. Yes, great home bakes. Yes.
Yes. And then before you know it, that's you. I mean, it's like you're suddenly passing Preston, Liverpool, Manchester, and then that's you into passing Birmingham.
Someone's been reading the map, haven't they? Someone's swallowed the map.
Boom. It's like, aye. I still get road rage driving a car, but I don't get it in the bike, because I just think people pass you the bike and go, you're an idiot. Wait till the traffic jam come up there, and then we'll see who's got the last laugh. And you're flying by me like a twat in your Tesla. Whereas in the car, I'm like that. Get the fucking road.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. Mind you, I'm not now. Since I started riding a bike, I used to be a fast driver in the car. I had to be first everywhere in the car. Now in the car, I can just sit and plod. But on the bike, I became that on the bike. But again, now, not fussed anymore on the bike. I'll quite happily just plodding along now, which is I never used to be like that.
I get that. I was the same as you. It was like, get out, put the bit down. You know what I mean? Try and beat as much traffic as you can to the first congestion point. On the bike, I never really had that as much. Don't get me wrong, there's stretches where you go, I'm going to give this the beans just to see how good this is. What's it based? But you're right, you kind of lose that. You get it. I think when you go into a new bike, you get that kind of for a bit, and then it kind of tails off again.
Yeah.
And you go back to being reasonably sensible. I'm saying that in air quotes, reasonably sensible.
As soon as the words came out of my mouth, I've got mates that'll just be looking and going, "What utter shite you're talking."
Aye, you're on the old bill now. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, I'm aware of the time here. We've got one more question.
Go on, last one, mate.
I think we've answered it. The Boheed. Why another Harley, Darren? Haven't the roads of Renfrewshire suffered enough? Yeah, why another Harley?
Young enough and fit enough to lift the thing. That is the honest answer. And again, it's a nice looking bike and it handles better than, and folk say to me, even when I bump into people that like I know that say, I mean, how does it compare to the Pan? You can't compare it to the Pan. That's like
Different bike,
comparing
innit?
peas and apples. It's not the same thing. Do you know what I mean? The ST handles really well for the size of bike it is, for the big, I mean, cruiser style that it is, but it's no, I mean, it's no any, I wouldn't say it's worse than the Pan, but it's no better than the Pan. It's just different. You know what I mean? The Pan, you could literally throw it into corners and it would just nip round corners, and it was a wee bit more angrier, you know what I mean, than this thing. This thing's just a bit, it's not even slower, it's just a bit, what's the word? Just a bit smoother in terms of, it's not like,
Harley, smooth.
Aye, well, it's smooth for a Harley. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Smooth for a Harley. You know what I mean? I wanted smooth, I bought a Triumph and then only half filled it with petrol. You know what I mean? For fear of fucking losing the other half. See, that's the thing that with Ian's fuel thing, right? That's the bit that gets me more than anything else. Is as a proper tight arse Scotsman, I'd be fucking raging if I put, you know what I mean, 30 quid of fuel in that and then lost like
a fiver of it.
Aye, do you know what I mean? Pushing down my tank, and it's a chrome edition he's got. I'd be more concerned it was damaging A, the ceramic coating that he got put on it, and B, the actual paintwork itself.
Aye.
I'm like, no thanks. But aye, the you know what I mean? Again, they're not for everybody. You know what I mean? Some folk like them, some folk don't. I just think it's one of the things that I'm going to get out of my system. And I had my very first Harley, my very first big bike. It was a Sportster. And it was an impulse buy because the A83 had no guts at all. The only thing I will say is it had Vansenheine's grenades on it, and if you parked it in an actual enclosed car park, it would set car alarms off. Yeah. Vansenheine's don't make those anymore because that's how loud they were. They stopped making them. Aye, it's one of those ones. I'm going to get it out of my system while I'm young and fit enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Despite the fact I'm coming up 48, you know what I mean? I'll get it out of my system.
That's not old, mate. Don't worry about it. That's not old. It's not old. We're the same age then. 76.
76.
Yeah. October's my birthday. When's yours?
Tomorrow.
Jeez, really? You old bastard.
Aye, me and Charlie. I'll send Charlie a note. Happy birthday, mate.
Well, mate, on that note, happy birthday tomorrow when it comes.
Thanks, mate. As I'm going to Aviemore. It's Thunder in the Glens this weekend.
Yes, yeah.
Sponsored by the guys at Roadskin this year. They're sponsoring the full thing this year.
Are they?
So they'll be up there, and I think, having talked to the guys back in July, I think the Bobhead guys are trying to get up as well.
Oh, cool.
So, and they're pretty cool. Do you know what I mean? You'd be good to get them on your show, actually.
Bobhead. Yeah, that's a good point, guys. Actually. I never thought of that. They've got some cracking stories, and they're just such nice guys, and they just love talking about bikes and bike gear. I mean, we popped in to visit them on the way back up from Manchester, just as we were literally passing it. It was like 10-minute diversion, but you can't go in and see them because their shops, they're kind of their main base, and we went in, and honestly, we were in there for about 2 hours, just talking bikes and gear and. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. They're absolutely brand new. Do you know what I mean? So they'd probably be up for getting on the show. I'll drop them a wee line.
Aye. I've got their details and stuff if you want me to fire that across.
Please, that would be fantastic. Yeah, definitely. I'm always up for new ideas for guests to come on for sure.
And they've been on Dragon's Den and everything, so they should have some corker stories, mate, honestly. And their gears, they've got a new kind of Ranger gear and stuff coming out, which is less kind of cruisery style. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the stuff is like the check shots and all that. I mean, bit fucking Sons of Anarchy and stuff like that. But the gear's really good, and they've got a new, almost like a D30 style armor, which is really, really thin and really, but it's still that kind of, what is it they call it? Non-Latonian like the D3 Ghost stuff, where it impacts and it goes hard. Do you know what I mean? The impact is the force that does it, but it just makes it so light. But they're no interested in making mega bucks. They keep it really, really cost effective. But they're bringing out bomber jackets and cargo trousers and all that stuff. You know, stuff that you actually want to ride in. But you can't, because nobody does it without having fucking Kevlar the full length it, and it weighs like 6 kilos just to put a set of jeans on.
Aye.
So
Road's going to do the same. You know, they're doing the same with their kit. It's I'm always taken aback by how cheap it is for what it is. Do you know what I mean?
You've got that hoodie, the one I've got that hoodie, the black one. Do you know what I mean? That's a cracking bit of kit, and the amount of people even now that still say to me, "It's a really nice jacket. Where did you get that?" It's like, and that wasn't an expensive jacket.
No, it's not. It's not at all. When you look at competition for what it is, I've been wearing their is it the Paranoid, the winter like dual line jeans? I've been wearing them all year, basically. So because they're quite a baggy fit for bike jeans. They're baggy, and I like roomy jeans. And bike jeans tend to be quite tight. But
you mean the TeapotOne ones?
Aye, but these are ones TMF would wear. You know, skinny jean type things.
Aye, these are a size 6. Aye.
Right, well, say hello to the Roadskin lads. Enjoy Thunder in the Glen. Dude, before we go, that's us. That's all the questions. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. Plug whatever you like. Shout out whoever you like. Over to you.
Plug whatever you like. Just thanks for having us on, mate. That was
pleasure.
Again, we always enjoy coming on. Again, we're always surprised when folk actually ask questions and folk make comments and stuff like that. So, anybody that's not listening, give us a check out. Average Bikers in a Cave. We're on pretty much all the podcasting platforms. We do put stuff up on social sometimes when we remember. Since my social media managers now decided she wanted paid, so that wasn't happening. So we've got to do it ourselves now. But aye, thanks for having us on, mate. We'll need to get you on actually. We need to get you back.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Never even thought of that. So we'll put a thing out to our folk and see what kind of random. I don't think they'll be as weird and interesting as some of the questions that you guys have put out. Thanks for everybody put a question forward. None of them were weird and wonderful. And we'll maybe need to come back to some of them in terms of like hockey names. That one's going to torment me for the rest of the night.
You're going to be up all night thinking about that now, aren't you?
No, I'm not, because I'm going to go and watch YouTube on quantum entanglement now.
Yeah, I know. That's been running through my head the entire conversation. It's like quantum entanglement. I'm going to have to find out more about it.
That should be it. You know, you've been on our shows, and I mean, anytime we've ended on, we usually have like kind of 4-based questions, like what you riding, what got you into riding, that kind of stuff, to get all that out of the way. I mean, what's your channel and all that stuff. And I think I'm going to put a new one in there, which is, how much does quantum entanglement mess with your head? I think that should be in there. It's a new average biker question. Do you know what I mean? Folk will be like, what? Might put guests after, you know.
He's going to be writing a paper now. He's going to research it so much.
Aye, I'm going to go. Aye, there you go. I'm going to chuck it. I'm going to chuck the podcasting in the social game. I'm going to go back and study quantum entanglement.
A thesis.
A thesis. No, that's not happening. I'll watch it on YouTube. It'll not make sense, and then I'll end up watching something else about tab exhausts or something fucking stupid. Do you know what I mean? That's so expensive I can't afford it.
Cats on treadmills or something. Yeah. Bloody shorts that just devours hours of my life.
Oh, mate. So there's two things before we finish. Two things about YouTube that's getting on my nerves right now. Shorts, because they're fucking pointless, right? Again, it must be a generational thing. And the second one is the amount of adverts they're ramping up.
Oh, no.
They're so bad right now. It's like, and they're not even like 5 seconds and then you can skip it. It's like, no, we're going to force you to watch a minute before you skip it. And it's like, I'd love to give you the money for premium, but it's just not happening.
No. The podcast, I find, when you put podcast on YouTube and then you leave the auto ad thing on, so it decides where it puts ads. Jesus, sometimes, normally I'll go through it before it gets published. I'll go through it and I'll take out, I'll basically have one ad every 20 odd minutes or every half hour, depending on how long it is. But if you forget that, Jesus Christ, sometimes I look at it and there's an ad every 3 minutes, 4 minutes. This is unbelievable. And that's the algorithm going, yeah, that's the best place to put the ad. Fuck off. Get rid of all that.
Algorithms broke, mate. Algorithms broke. Anyway, thanks for having us on, dude. Much appreciated. Again, I'm
Pleasure.
sure Ian would say the same. I don't think he'd had anything else anyway for the last hour, because he can have peaks at an hour and a half anyway. So, and again, he's off practicing being a Nazi somewhere, so it's fine.
And on that note, folks, make sure you check out Average Bikers in a Cave. I'll leave all the links down below. So make sure you give them a like, a follow, a subscribe. Folks, hope you've enjoyed us rabbiting on for the last almost 3.5 hours. Keep doing your thing. Keep looking after those that you love. Get on out there whenever you can. But most importantly, like he says, live your life. Woo-ha! Dude, awesome.